Visit americasbestracing.net today from Union Square in Manhattan to South Ozone Park, New York. Good to have you with us as we hone in on the latter part of this card here at Aqueduct, and we'll have the majority of the second half of the card from out at Oaklawn. Snow coming down here in New York. Greg Wolf, New York Racing Association handicapper, Andy Serling, winningest rider in the history of this track, the MIG, Richard Migliore. Good to see you guys.
Good to see you. Good to be here. Yeah, we've accelerated the post time, so we're only going to be carrying the last couple races on the show with the snow coming in. It hasn't been that bad here yet, but they are predicting it after at least we're done to get much worse.
And the Pippin, our feature top 4 finishers coming back out of that mistletoe where Corningstone was just dominant on a wet track.
If Corningstone can come back with that kind of effort, she's going to be very tough again. Couple of key scratches in there as well, including Tripolina.
They have a race name for Scottie Pippen. Shouldn't it be for the boys, not for the girls? So you're saying it's
not named for Scotty, but yeah, should be.
Should be. I agree.
We'll get to that race coming up a little later on. That's the feature out at Oaklawn this afternoon. Again, no racing for those who did not know for Monday. They were scheduled for Monday in Hot Springs. That entire card has been moved to next Thursday, and that is when we are back on the air after today. Here's what's ahead, presented by Claiborne Farm. Races 7 and 8 from New York. We're fast here. A little cold, but we're fast. And at Oaklawn, races 5 through 10, they are fast in Hot Springs as well.
Yeah, well, we've actually managed to stay fast. It's a very different track than yesterday. We did see a speed win a 1.25 mile race we just ran, but in general, I mean, the first 2 races looked like deep closers were dominating. Looked like a very complete polar opposite of yesterday, but we have at the very least, it's seemingly a much fairer track.
Well, it just seems like a more tiring racetrack. The fractures have been a bit slower, and horses seem to be struggling just a bit more. So it's interesting. We talk about track biases. You got to pay attention because it changes day to day.
Did not last long, did it? NyraBets.com. That's where you get signed up to play and bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Bonus 200. That code to use for new members that sign up to get that offer of that $200 deposit match sign up bonus. So Pippin, as we talked about, it's race 9. 5:22 Eastern start time, mile and 16th. Fillies, mares 4 and up, and Corningstone, she was just dominant against the likes of Tax, Bow Draw in that mistletoe. 7th career win.
He just set a really nice trip. Got very good position in the mistletoe on this muddy surface, and basically had the race 1 coming off of the far turn. Drew away nicely. Kenny McPeak having a terrific meet so far at Oaklawn, as is Julian Leperoux. I think he's been riding extremely well.
I agree. He had a very nice ride with Kenny yesterday on a first-time starter from post 12 to win a race at 6 furlongs. And I guess if you want to, ask yourself why are you a little trepidation. Well, it was a muddy seal track last time, different track today, and maybe she moved up a little bit, but it's not as though she doesn't have good races on the go back, as does Taxed.
And 2 potential speeds both come out of that race. So it changes things a little bit in terms certainly of the pace setup.
Sure.
I'm surprised, they came out, I think at least one, if not both, are entered back in a stake next weekend that came up with a very big field. And if you're interested, the Southwest has been drawn, and that whole card's been drawn. We'll probably talk about the Southwest a little bit later.
Yeah, we will. On the road to the Triple Crown. There was a Triple Crown prep in New Orleans just the other day. We'll recap that along with the road to the Kentucky Oaks from Saturday here in the Busanda on that track that was playing very favorable to front runners. And speaking of, running away, did just that on the front end. And Wesley Ward, her trainer, was starting to second guess himself the way that track was playing. It all worked out in the end. Stay with us. Back with you on our Sunday coverage. The fog rolling in gently.
You're like the voice of doom over here.
Oh, no, I love it. I grew up with fog in the Bay Area. I love fog.
That's true.
Now our bets where you can play all the action. This 7th race is next here in New York. 1 turn mile, allowance optional claiming field, and weigh the risks. Odds on favorite, 9-length winner last time out, November 16th. That was last time that we saw her. There she is for Chad Brown and Klarovich.
She's an absolute mortal lock if she runs back to her last race. I mean, she ran a 96 buyer. The horses in this field struggle, if not are unable to run 90 buyers. So you're talking about a horse from a speed figure standpoint who's literally, Richie, running 10 or more points faster. And this was her only dry dirt start. Now, you can't just rely. Is she a one-number horse? Yes, but we don't really know. But is she going to run back to this race? And she is running for Chad Brown's barn. That's been a little bit cold and kind of underperforming a little bit lately, especially in New York.
Yeah, but I think the key is what you said, the fact that that was her only start on a fast dirt racetrack, right? She's been on turf, on sloppy tracks, now hit a fast track, and she was a winner from the 5/8 ball in this race. She was galloping.
You could see she was dragging. I think was it Eric that wrote Dylan Davis. And it's interesting because Chad Brown loved this horse and thought this is our Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies turf horse. His reasoning was, and I know he talked to Dave Grenig about this, that she works very well in the dirt, but she's a Mendelssohn. He feels like the Mendelssohns are better on the turf. The only time she ran the dirt, she cut a sloppy track on Kentucky Oaks Day, and now she gets to the dry track and she gallops like that. If she runs back to it, she can't lose, but we'll see if she does.
You see that snow falling 8 minutes away from the 7th race. Weigh the risk. Can she repeat that brilliant effort? Let's head downstairs and bring in for the first time today, Maggie Wolfendale.
Yeah, Greg, the fog here at the Big A, a little different than Bay Area fog as it's accompanied by snow. I love snow. So it's not really sticking to any surfaces as of now. It just kind of looks pretty as it comes down through the sky. But we'll take a look here at number 3, Weigh the Risk. And she is one that I'll admit, even when she was running on the turf, I was never her biggest fan. She always just looked weak and a little bit underdeveloped. But now, as she's a newly turned 4-year-old, she's really starting to fill out. It's just something I really appreciate. And for once, she's actually making a really good impression on me. But I'll say this, we've seen several Chad Brown horses just underperform as of late. You know, a horse like Dolomite comes to mind, where she was a heavy favorite and was unable to get the job done. And yes, there have been situations where dynamics have played against them, but we'll see. She's going to be another short price in here, but she definitely makes a great impression here in the paddock. And it's interesting, Andy bringing up Mendelssohn's. If you actually look at the sire stats on Mendelssohn's, the best percentage of his progeny do perform going long on the dirt. So maybe this is what she's meant to do all along. Moving on to number 4, Sweetest Princess. She was definitely against the track. Last time out, it was a track on December 27th where you wanted to be inside and you wanted to have speed. She may have had a little speed, but she was definitely 4 to 5 wide throughout. So that did not lead to a great performance. And furthermore, maybe she is one that now, as a 5-year-old, kind of needs Lasix. And she couldn't run on it last time out in the Bay Ridge, and now she gets it here today. It's good to see that we have a totally fair track. And the thing is she's one that has enough tactical speed to kind of play the break and see where things fall out, as we have the presence of Sue Ellen Michigan in here, who definitely looks to be the clear-cut speed horse. And Sweetest Princess could find herself in a nice tracking position. She looks great in here, and I always respect anything that Fernando Abreu sends out. Greg?
Maggie, thank you. Get to the post right here momentarily. 5 minutes away from the 7th coming up. Even money now on a filly. He was 3 to 5 on the morning line. Don't think she'll stay there.
To me, it's not even. It's you have to ask yourself, is there a price that you're willing to bet against her that she doesn't run pretty even close to that number last time? And maybe that number is, you can only decide what's for yourself. I'm not looking to bet against her. I think the 2 and 4 are both interesting alternatives. I don't particularly like the entry. But, Richie, I'm not playing against this horse. Even money, I don't think she's an underlay.
Very difficult to do off of that powerful performance last time, and kind of a similar situation this time. You got a clear-cut speed that Maggie alluded to in the 1A Sue Ellen Michigan. she's going to clear off and open up, and I don't see her staying a mile at all. So you just put yourself in a position when she stops that you can take advantage of it.
In your experience riding for all the years that you did, this kind of weather, snow coming down, any kind of impact on different types of horses, or not really?
Not really. I mean, it honestly looks a lot worse on camera than, the snow really looks like it's coming down very, very hard.
It's very light.
It's very light at this point. I think the track's in good shape. Like I said, I think it's a bit slower than it was yesterday. But it really doesn't have any effect on the riders. It says not messing with your visibility. It's not messing with your feel on the reins. I think it's fine.
Well, also keep in mind, when you're looking at snow or rain on television, it's a two-dimensional TV, and it always looks like it's bad. We turn around and look out. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm glad we're up here, and as opposed to Maggie, who's down the paddock. I'd prefer to be here. But if we look outside, it's not heavy snow.
As we just said.
Right, I know. But I'm saying it looks on, but people are looking on TV.
It looks a lot more
and I think
dramatic.
they can look on TV and they think, what are these
It's a blizzard.
idiots talking about? As they probably say quite often on the show in this particular run, with good reason. Though now it doesn't look like it's snowing at all, but whatever.
All right, so should have no impact. We'll see. Weigh the risks. It looked exciting just because of what she was able to do in that last start. And I guess that big of an effort, no rush to bring her back, right? With no big.
Yeah, I know she's been working. I think she had 5 or 6 works. I had never had a conversation really about her. I did, frankly, I got this information from Dave Krenig's article about it, and he was saying if she runs well here, we'll point to the Heavenly Prize, which is a stake here late in February.
Having said that, with that effort and this barn, her morning line was 3 to 5. Public's a little cool on her right now, aren't they?
They are. They are absolutely a little cool on her right now.
It's not a great sign.
Well, it's really, too, it's kind of weird. If you look at the multi-race bets, there was really the last winner who I picked second thinking she'd be favored, ended up 5-1, wasn't bet. I think the double was like $20 or something. Let me take a look at it. Give me 1 second. It's $20 for $1, which sort of means that the horse is like 2-to-1-ish. But it was, with Valenzuela Day, it was like a $4 double for $2. So she was like 3 to 5 with that horse. I don't know what to think.
Got a quick look at Charlie Baker, Jose Gomez. They'll team up with a long shot to 6 on Buzzy. There's Corb for Todd Pletcher. But let's check in with Jonathan Kinchin for the first time on the program. JK, 6 to 5. Is that a bad sign on a filly for Chad Brown that was 3 to 5 morning line?
I don't think so. I think there's people looking for alternatives, like you guys have been discussing, a one-number horse. I think people are looking for other ways to go. And I think the entry is obviously very attractive because you get 2 horses. The 1A, obviously, the one that you want in there. The 7, another one who ran well last time. So I think people are kind of, some money is gravitating towards some of those other 2 horses. But for me, when it comes to the 3, weigh the risks, I just need a better number on these other horses if I'm going to try to weigh the risks. Sure, she might not run back to that number she ran last time, but I believe there's no reason for me to not trust that number. That, like, where did it come from? She's always just kind of been knocking on the door. She switched the surface. I just think it makes sense. And like I said, even though I do, like I'm sure both of you feel a little bit of insecurity in her ability, the alternatives for me just don't get me going. I'll take the 3 at 6 to 5.
All right, post parade underway. JK, thanks. Just music. The 1 went by post 3. The entry mate, Sue Ellen Mishkin.
Well, maybe her speed will help the entry mate, and maybe Linda Rice left her in, which she wasn't going to do, thinking the track was speedy again.
Post 6 for the 1A. The rail to Miss Lau, the 2.
Dennis Lauman does a really good job, works very hard in his horse, always has just a horse or 2.
I picked her second.
There is Weigh the Risks, 4-year-old return.
I think we've all said it all. If she runs her last, she'll probably win comfortably. We'll see if she does.
Sweetest Princess, Fernando Abreu, can be forward.
Yeah, Maggie talked about it too. This is a mare that's getting Lasix back, and she runs her better races when she has Lasix.
Sophia Vives on Midtown Lights.
Best speed figure since being claimed, but she did it racing on a gold rail last time.
The Charlie Baker runner with Jose Gomez on Buzzy.
Yeah, it just feels like this horse is going to have to find a race faster than what we've seen previous, although she does have a couple of good runs.
Hall of Fame trainer Todd Pletcher with Corb.
She's Andy off. I've liked her 2 straight times. She has not run well. Hard to endorse, but if the favorite doesn't run, she's one of the ones for sure.
And Golden Rocket Stakes winner in the New York Stallion Series, 2 starts back.
Another one that you feel like you're going to have to get an A-plus effort from her, but I think she's going to sit an actually really good trip because I think she's the one who sets up shop outside when Sue Ellen Mishkin clears off.
I think the crazy price on the board right now is the 2 at 35 to 1. She was wide against a good rail last time out and thus ran a worse race. She had been running very well for Dennis Lauman and didn't have a particularly good trip two back when she was down inside and you didn't want to be inside. She's capable of running figures in the high 70s, and I think if you're looking at everybody else, other than the favorite, she can belong with those horses, and I think the 35-1 on Miss Lau is insane. She could at least be second to the favorite.
There she is. She again gets the rail, stretching back out, and has been, effective at a mile, at 7 furlongs, so distance probably not going to be an issue.
You almost, for me, handicapping races like this, you try to handicap them without Weigh the Risks. Where do you stand in this race if Weigh the Risk isn't running? And then you evaluate, whether or not you want to take a shot against the favorite or not. Now, I didn't, but I think horses like the 2 and 4, I think Maggie makes a lot of good points about the number 4 in here, Sweetest Princess.
13-1 on the 4 right now. Let's go back to Maggie.
Yeah, I'm going to take a shot with her. I totally respect Weigh the Risk, and I honestly thought she'd be a little bit of a shorter price in here. But I will land on Sweetest Princess as we'll take a look at that long shot you guys were just talking about. In number 2, that is Miss Lau. And I had noted last time when we just saw her, 9 days ago, that her weight looked better than ever since being claimed by Dennis Lauman. I hadn't actually seen her in her previous efforts, but she's getting back out to a route distance, and I think she's made for it. I think it's actually a better distance configuration for her. And she always is so tight behind, though, walking in the paddock, so I'm always like, meh. And then she gets out on the track and she just kind of expends some of that nervous energy. She just looks far better, and I agree, that's way too big of a price on her. She sits right at 30-1. Moving on to the 1A, Sue Ellen Mishkin. Look, physically, I've always thought that she could handle a one-turn mile, but the proof is right there in the pudding against weaker company. Going back to December 31st of 2023, she tried it and she just couldn't last. So while physically she looks okay going a mile, she's already proven that it's not a viable option for her. And Greg, we are not seeing speed hold like we did yesterday.
Maggie, thank you. There's the even money favorite. Again, up above that 3-5 morning line. So public being a little bit cautious with Weigh the Risk and her ability to repeat what she did back on November 16th.
Yeah, I get it. I'm not going to. I don't know what price she's supposed to be in here. Maybe it's a coin flip. We'll see. Regardless, I'm hoping she runs well again because she could be a nice horse. She goes to 4-5. We'll see.
7th from Aqueduct. Can Weigh the Risks reproduce that huge effort? If so, some much bigger races seem to be in her immediate future. We will find out. Manny Franco aboard the 3. Let's go to Chris Griffin for the call.
Goes in. All set. And they're off. Sue Ellen Mishkin right to the front, and Golden Rocket towards the outside is with the early speed 2. At the rail, here comes Miss Lau, is trying to join these front runners. Weigh the Risks is going to be in between horses, is now a shared 4th with Sweetest Princess right behind her. Far outside is going to be Corb, who starts to move forward now as they come out of the chute, and the leader is Miss Lau. It's Sue Ellen Mishkin and Miss Lau, these two noses apart, and right off of them is Golden Rocket. Weigh the Risks is in tight, is down at the rail. In between rivals now comes a Sweetest Princess and a 23-4 opening quarter mile. In the 6th position is Corb, who starts to move forward out in the center of the racetrack. Just behind them, a traveling pair with Midtown Lights and I'm Buzzy. The trailer, Just Music. They approach 4 furlongs left to go. There was a seam for Weigh the Risks, and Manny Franco takes it, and Weigh the Risks is run right by Miss Lau, who's dropping back through the field now. 48 seconds flat for a half-mile time. Sue Ellen Mishkin, and that quick move there from Manny Franco on Weigh the Risks, and Weigh the Risks is now put ahead in front. Corb is in pursuit, just 3 wide chasing. Right in behind them comes Sweetest Princess. Golden Rocket losing ground. Here comes Midtown Lights. I'm Buzzy. They start to progress from the back, also trying to rally on Just Music. They're chasing Weigh the Risks, who's got the lead. Weigh the Risks and Corb is ready to challenge towards the outside, but Weigh the Risks has got more so far. Corb with every shot to run her down. It's Weigh the Risks to the inside, and Corb is right there in second. From the back, trying to run on his Midtown Lights. A furlong left to go. Weigh the Risks is still there. Weigh the Risks is back up by a length and a half and extends the margin just a touch. Corb continues to chase. Midtown Lights a clear 3rd. Weigh the Risks wins it. Weigh the Risks over Corb. Then came Midtown Lights, and I'm Buzzy in 1 minute 38.79 seconds.
Way the risks appeared to be in cruise control most of this race, and now back-to-back wins.
Right. I mean, I would say that the second place finisher, Korb, is how we think you pronounce it, ran much better than she's been running, but this was a nice win by her, but obviously not as explosive as her last, Richie.
No, but she took a stiff challenge from Korb. Korb came at her with momentum from the outside, and she tested her, and she reached down and found more. You don't learn a lot about horses when they win off by 8, 9, 10 lengths, and even with the big figure, you learn more about them when they've got to face a challenge. She met it and kicked on. I was actually, in some respects, more impressed with this effort.
All right. Well, we'll see how quickly the race comes up. I mean, listen, the field was fairly gapped behind them, so it might be a faster race than it looks. I haven't paid enough attention to tell you how that track is, but it's a much slower track than yesterday, so no surprise the time came back pretty slow.
In the end, yeah, came down just a notch, 4-5, and gets it done. In the 4-year-old return, back-to-back wins now, undefeated on fast surfaces on dirt. And we'll see what's next. But she does have that race within her. We know that a lot more explosive than what we saw here. So potentially first start back of the year. We can see that going forward.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you hope that she can continue on and run in stake races. The one thing that she'll have to see is she's running with Lasix in these races. Can she do well without Lasix?
Yeah, you know, it's a big question. I mean, I think that's something that people really need to hone in on. Sometimes it gets overlooked. And some horses just need it to perform their best.
Right. I mean, I think that, you know, you look at Chad Brown's numbers, probably done better since the Lasix, since they stopped using Lasix in a lot of races. But that doesn't mean it's not horse-specific. We'll see if it is with her.
Yesterday, it was the road to the Kentucky Oaks, first stop in New York, to that first Friday in May, and obviously a much different track that we're dealing with today. Speed was incredibly dominant, and Wesley Ward, he talked to Sahin Savici, told him earlier in the day, just go to the front. But then he saw the track was playing, worried that there might be everybody trying to go to the front from that outside post might be problematic. In the end, said, I'll just let him decide.
That shows the trainers will always worry no matter what the situation is, because would he have been happier if it was like a dead closers track? What I would say about looking at yesterday's results is speed figures weren't exaggerated by horses in front, which suggests to me, Richie, that it was a track that was hindering closers. So it makes speed look good because the closers weren't getting in the race. So I think her 81 Beyer speed figure, which for what it's worth was 3 points higher than the winner Lecomte got, it's a decent number. She's going to have to get better as the race gets tougher, but there's nothing wrong with the performance.
And she's 2 for 2 on dirt now. She had to overcome the outside post, had to be fast enough to clear, got in a good rhythm, kept finding. And looking at her from a physical perspective, Greg, she looks like she'll run as far as they write the races. I mean, she's got a lot of long, scopy reach to her.
Think she can go as far as next?
Why?
Well, maybe she'll be the female version of next.
You're a little bit tough.
I meant no disrespect.
Richie took a little shot yesterday about next.
Why are you taking shots at Brad Cox when we haven't even talked about the Lecomte yet?
Brad Cox.
You just said this was 3 points faster than the Lecomte. You didn't have to throw that in.
It was.
Okay.
Well, I think it's important to note that the winner of the stake race here yesterday
I'm kidding.
was faster than the No, now I don't know that it was necessarily much better than the figure the Silver Bullet Day got yesterday, but I know the Lecomte was slow.
We will look back on that race. By the way, Disco Star, your winner of that one, for Brad Cox. I kid.
I know.
Back at Oaklawn, show you what happened, or what's coming up. Sorry, 3 minutes away from race 5 here in Hot Springs. Mile and a 16th, $35,000 maiden claiming race, so all for sale for this price. 5-2 on Truth Bomb for Robert Medina.
Yeah, I'm not. I know Richie's champing at the bit to bet at Robbie Medina off the claim. I'm going to take a we'll see approach.
Here is Pritchard, maybe Peyton Pritchard fans all over this one. Blinkers off, gets Lasix.
Yeah, it's rain or change, first time on the dirt, but really more of a turf-leaning pedigree, and got the horse from Cherie DeVoe.
Mintastic went by Steve Asmussen's son Keith. Here's Truth Bomb.
Yeah, I think this horse is a dubious 5-2 shot. We'll see if he can improve off the claim. This horse is an ex-Brad Cox, not for me.
Again with Down the Islands.
Doing too much work here, would have to improve.
Andy again with Sir Gallivant.
This one's a Brad Cox dropping down precipitously, and Brad is 0 for the Oaklawn meet so far.
Andy again with Honor Bow.
What's going on here? Start doing some work, Migliori. Who's going to have to get a lot faster.
19-1. We get to hear from Mig here with Baltoro.
Baltoro, 2 starts, 1 on grass, 1 on slop, has not received the Beyer figure yet, -0.
There's Audax Minor, blinkers on and Lasix.
Tries the dirt for the first time. The dam did do okay in the dirt, but probably more turfy, synthetic-y.
Stretch out for the first time, my Vino.
And drops in class. Tough post. Has a lot to prove.
And also eligible draws in, Surfin' M, Greg Compton barn.
I got to do another horse. Looks, I guess it's a little interesting on the drop down as a speed, but going to have to find a way in. Now, it's been a number of scratches, so a little easier to get in. This horse is a pace factor at least, right?
Oh, absolutely, a pace factor. And I think the draw simplifies it for Ramon Vasquez. You got to come out running. You don't want to be caught 5-6 wide into the first turn.
Do we have an applause effect in the booth? Andy Serling earned his money that post parade.
It's about time.
Well, we're letting him leave early. At least he could do is do some heavy lifting.
Weigh the risks. That dominant performance back on November 16th. First time on a drive fast track. Come back now as a 4-year-old. Not quite as impressive, but does win fairly easily against this group. And now 2 wins in a row.
Yeah, but I like the fact that she took a challenge and went on. You know, sometimes when things come easy to an equine athlete or a human athlete, they look better than they actually are. This showed me something, a little more about her character.
Race 8. Here we go. $20,000 maiden claiming race. 1-turn mile to close out this card here in New York. And it's the 4 taking significant money, along with the 6. We expected those 2 to kind of dominate the wagering here.
We got a little, to be fair, a little in-house route for the 6, Luke on Point, named for our good friend Luca Alivato, Tony Alivato's son.
Who was quite a hockey player.
Very good name for him. He's a hockey player as well in the drop down. So we're homers. I'm a homer here rooting for Luca.
He does not mind mixing it up on the ice either.
Well, you got to have that attitude, right? You got to, have enough swagger and confidence in what you do. And I get a big kick out of it. You guys know how big a hockey fan I am. So I think it's just awesome.
He's good, too, by the way.
Yes, he is. 5th at Oaklawn. Mile and a 16th again, this maiden claiming race. So Sir Gallivant favored that speed last time out. That was a better group. New gelding, gets Lasix, now 3-year-old debut. A lot of reasons to say this could be the day for him. And look, it's Brad Cox. So we talked about it yesterday.
It's going to be a day for Brad.
Shocking. It is just shocking what a tremendous trainer he is that he has not yet won at this meet.
Well, people say sometimes some things about Brad. Well, apparently he's more of a mortal here at Oaklawn. So I don't know. His horses are running like any other trainers can run. Trainers go through slow runs no matter how good you are.
It's always an interesting thing, too. When a barn isn't going well, the atmosphere in a barn is a little bit down. There's not as much of that kind of ebullience to it. And horses feed on energy. When a barn starts winning, everything starts clicking because the whole barn is upbeat. And I'm a true believer in horses feed on that energy.
So what are you going to do with Patch Adams in the Southwest if Brad still hasn't won a race coming to Saturday?
Well, you didn't
he
like
looks
that
like
movie.
the favorite. I just hope it's not a trend of naming
win a
horses
Triple
after
Crown
bad
prep
movies.
at the fairgrounds, which we'll get to. See if that streak ends here with Sir Gallivant. Let's go to Matt Ditterman for the 5th.
Sir Gallivant, he goes in. Now Surfin' M to the outside. We're ready to go. And we're off. Truth Bomb was away very slowly and is at the back of the pack. Down the islands, up on the lead today. Sir Gallivant a neck behind early. Surfin' M from the far outside post trying to get over, but he's about 5 pass off the rail as they hit the first turn run. And the leader from the inside is Down the Islands. Down the Islands, a length in front of Sir Gallivant, who takes a hold, will track from the second position. On the outside, Surfin' M is third with Mintastic, gap of 2 to My Vino. Pritchard is right behind him. Then Truth Bomb, after the bad break, was last out of the gate. His midfield 7 lengths behind, with Baltoro swinging up the back stretch. Another 3 lengths to Audax Minor towards the back of the field, and Honor Bow is the trailer well behind, about 15 lengths behind. They head down the back stretch. Down the Islands, the leader by a half length. Sir Gallivant closer and pressing hard as they approach the halfway mark. A length and a half to Surfin' M. Mintastic to the inside 4th. He's 3 lengths off the pace. A gap of 5 lengths back to a line of 4. Pritchard saving ground as he hits the far turn. Truth Bomb is shaken up between that quartet, and and now gets closer, clearly into about the 5th position. He's alongside My Vino, but Truth Bomb in an all-out drive, and he absolutely needs to turn it around to win it. The rest are well out of it. Coming to the top of the lane, down the islands, under a hard ride to keep up. Sir Gallivant right there. Sir Gallivant takes a head lead on down the islands as he comes off the turn, clearly ahead now. Sir Gallivant with a 3/16 pole, rush to the front. Sir Gallivant now 2 lengths ahead. Now Truth Bomb is finding a good stride down the center of the track. He's battling in second with Surf and M. It's Sir Gallivant with the lead. Truth Bomb is lengthening stride. Sir Gallivant shifting ground. Truth Bomb's got him. Truth Bomb, Harry Hernandez, Robert Medina with 2 wins today. Sir Gallivant second. Third was Surf and M. Mintastic fourth.
Sir Gallivant looked like that streak was going to end for Brad Cox here in Hot Springs. Not to beat Truth Bomb. A little all over the place in the stretch, but rolls by for the victory.
This is when you know you're going bad department. When you've got a horse like Sir Gallivant who did all the work, looked like a winner in the stretch, looked to be drawing away, and you not only get run down, but run down by a horse that was claimed away from you. Yeah. That's when you know you're just going bad.
Adding insult to injury, and it looked like he was on his way to win, and Sir Gallivant with Christian Torres got to weaving in the stretch. And at one point I actually thought, well, maybe him coming out stymied the 3 Truth Bombs forward momentum. It didn't matter. He jumped back to his left lead and ran right by him.
Yeah, they were coming apart a little bit. At the end, the 3 was the only one coming. I still think Brad's going to be okay. What do you think?
He might
probably
survive.
get past this.
Eclipse Award-winning trainer should be just fine. Speaking of Eclipse Award-winning trainers, this man about to collect his 5th in what is shaping up to be a certain Hall of Fame career. That'll happen in just a few days' time next week. Chad Brown just had a big win here at Aqueduct with that filly we saw.
Olympiad leads American Revolution. Olympiad gets the gold in the Jockey Club Gold Cup.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at nairabets.com.
At the Keeneland September yearling sale, the premier thoroughbred auction venue in the world, Mandy Pope of Whisper Hill Farm signed the ticket on the $5 million sale topper by Curlin, bred by Stone Street Thoroughbred Holdings. He was one of $5 million plus yearlings by Curlin to sell. No fewer than 44 of his yearlings fell to the auction gavel, averaging nearly $600,000, making Curlin the #1 sales sire at the September sale. Curlin, the classic sire.
What's at stake? $1 million purse. Oaklawn Stakes races are where horses step out of the shadows and into the spotlight, and where Triple Crown dreams begin. The Southwest Stakes is coming. It's the race where the legend of Mystic Dan began.
Mystic Dan is turning it on.
And it's back and bigger than ever. Big crowds, big names, and a big old payday.
Mystic Dan, a dominant win.
This is your Oaklawn.
Back on our Sunday coverage of America's Day at the Races, getting set for the finale on the Sunday card here in South Ozone Park, New York. And there is Luca on point. I wish we should have had a highlight ready to go so we could show you.
I wanted to have a camera in the screen of Luca watching the race.
That'd been good too. Well, 2 starts against better. Now the drop in class for the Chad Brown barn. Maggie, what can you tell us about how he looks here for start number 3?
You know, Greg, I always feel like I'm at a disadvantage when I haven't seen horses in the past, especially coming in as favorites. That is the case with Luca on point. But what I see, at least against this field, I like. very handsome son of Good Magic, and looks like, you know, the good Magics. Clearly, he's not that good, but against this bunch, he doesn't have to be. So all things good, nicely on the bridle here, really well muscled, really strong, and you know, despite not showing the greatest deal of athleticism, physically, he does look like an athlete. So we'll see if he can take down this field here. A horse that I have been able to watch progress is number 4, Nilruck, for Bruce Brown, who nearly got the job done at 45.5 to 1 last time. I don't mind him getting to the mile yet again, because the only time he tried it was over a sloppy sealed track. And furthermore, this horse has just taken a while to get fit. He was very heavy in his first 2, maybe 3 starts, and now he's so much more defined, so much stronger, and just possesses the air of confidence now. You know, he's nicely on the bridle. He's very focused at the task at hand. So it's good to see we have a fair racetrack, because I think both of these horses, despite not having much early speed, are legit players in here. Greg?
Maggie, thank you. Post parade in a moment. So this one, unlike Luca on Point, has been at this level before, several times, in fact, and just missed at the level back on January 5th.
Right. What he's done that Luke on Point hasn't done is actually lifted his hoof one day. In his 4th start, he really sort of transformed himself far, far better than he had ever run before. And he ran a good race here, just missing second, closing into the pace. So obviously, if he's turned the corner, he can win. Now, I prefer a horse like Luke on the Point, a big drop down, but don't be fooled by them currently being the same price, Richie. By post time, Luke on Point's going to be a substantial favorite. And so if you like this horse, you probably get a little bit better price.
You know, one of the things I like about Nilruck is you get Sahin Savachi riding this horse back. And a rider like him, and I've been watching him closely, he's been impressive here. They seem to ride horses better the second time. It's like they learned something. This horse took a big step forward last time. There might be another one.
The guy can ride. I mean,
Yeah, he's a good
I
rider.
won't be surprised if we see him sticking around and taking a shot here. He's apparently going to win the Sovereign Award, best rider up in Canada last year. And from what we've seen here, it's no surprise. I mean, he can. You see riders come in every winter, and we've seen some good riders show up that have stayed. But, I mean, he's the best one I think has come for a winter in a while.
I think in a while. Patrick Husbands rode here one winter, didn't really get off and have much success. But over the years, you think about it, from the Turcotte brothers, obviously Ron Turcotte, Jeffrey Fell, Don Macbeth, Sandy Hawley. So many great riders have come out of Canada over the years.
You need to have the right people backing you, too.
Sure, of course.
But the way he's ridden now, he's not going to have any problem getting on very live horses whenever he kind of wants to in races.
Wesley Ward gave him a big opportunity. Had a stakes win yesterday in the Busanda.
Well, Wesley would have ridden Mig if Richie said he would have ridden him. I mean, considering some of the guys that Wesley names on his horses, right?
No, maybe not.
So he may have been a massive upgrade considering some of the.
You think-
and sometimes he's been.
You think if I called him, he might have went, no, next.
Well, he rode with you. He rode with you. So.
Post parade to come. So beyond these two, obviously, Nilruck, the 4, the 6 Luca on Point. The 5's taking a little money. Anyone else you can make a case for?
I think the 5 is dangerous. Switching to Rob Atras it certainly catches my eye, and the fact the track's fair. Now, this horse is 0 for 17 with 9 seconds and thirds, whereas Nilruck is 0 for 3 in the dirt. Lucas Point's 0 for 2. You tend to look at horses that have had many less chances. But
Sure.
These are the kind of race in the winter that you do see these longtime maidens break their maidens, right?
It is. Active Duty, the 5 is, I mean, can't sugarcoat it, a professional maiden to this point.
But from a speed figure standpoint, is absolutely
No
fast
question.
enough to win the race, and you can't completely ignore that, especially when they're not favored.
Here is shaking the bell from the inside post for Rudy Rodriguez.
I think on yesterday's racetrack, this horse moved up because does appear to be the speed with a 7 out of the race, but once again, has some good back figs and looks like the controlling speed.
Tamperino, 0 for 10 for Jenna Antonucci.
Yeah, a lot of chances, but there are some races further back that would make this horse competitive here.
Here is Prairie Dunes, Christopher Elliott, son of Stewart of Smarty Jones fame.
And if you've been betting this horse all along, in fact, you are Taparino.
Nilruck at 7-2, just missed at the level last start.
I like the finish last time, and I like Savachi staying.
So here's Active Duty, 0 for 17, moving to Rob Atras.
As we said, has races fast enough, but is 0 for 17.
Luca on Point, Chad Brown, Klarovich Silks, Eric Cancel.
Yeah, takes a substantial drop in class, and that could be the key here. He also takes the blinkers off, and I'm going to pick him because I also like my job.
connections.
It wasn't that you were going to get fired if you didn't pick them, but
Maybe suspended.
yeah.
LC Go Lucky at 32-1.
Yeah, would have to really turn it around in a big way.
Mighty Glory, Dominic Schettino trains.
And ditto. Best races are on the turf.
And got back to dirt last couple of starts, mano y mano, including at this level, and didn't make a huge impact.
Yeah, now turns back to the one-turn mile. Not my cup of tea.
A little life last time, to be fair. I mean, the best race he's ever run, at least on dirt.
Minute to post. Coming up to close out this card here in New York. JK, your thoughts on Luca on point?
Well, I'm obviously rooting for my boy Luca. And some of my favorite things to see are some of the videos of Luca out there just annihilating people as the smallest man on the ice. But anyway, so I'll be rooting for him in my heart. I do think the 5 Active Duty does make a little bit of sense. It's one of those horses that I know when you look at these 0 for 17, you start asking yourself, oh, maybe the horse doesn't want to win. Then you got to start asking yourself as well, what race was he supposed to win? If you look back through those races, only one of them was he less than 2-1. So that goes a long way, or at least in the recent form, only one of them was under 2-1. So when they don't get the job done, when they're that short of a price, it's not nearly as disappointing. The other thing is that you're going to have a trainer change. When you have that trainer change, sometimes that's the thing that can help kind of wake them up a little bit. And I'm just hopeful that Active Duty, switching to Rob Atris's barn, will all of a sudden kind of wake up and decide that 0 for 18 is not for him. Mags?
Oh, JK, all I gotta say is it stopped snowing here, but it has gotten significantly colder out here. So I'm glad this is the last race. Let's take a look, though, at Active Duty, who he was just talking about. A horse that, look, ticks every box. Great energy out there, moving very well beneath Matty Oliver, looks incredibly fit, typical Rob Atris horse, really well turned out. Don't have any previous notes on this horse other than I wrote once upon a time, I guess last time, looks like a 9 furlong horse. So that's my biggest problem with him. And he's just incredibly one-paced. Now, maybe Rob can wake him up a little bit, but he's a horse that I just feel like needs a little longer to be successful. So I am going to land on Luca on point. I, too, like my job, and I feel like I got to make up for not realizing who this horse was named after, of course, our boss, Tony Elevato's son. Greg?
Just to be clear, only Greg's job is in jeopardy if he roots against Luca. Everybody else is okay. Just letting you know.
Why is that?
Tony said if he doesn't hear a full-throated root for Luca, it's going to be trouble for you, Wolf.
Goes without saying I'm rooting for this horse.
You've
Come
actually
on.
known Luca the longest.
I have. And I've probably seen more hockey highlights than any of you guys. And he can, as JK said, he can lay some lumber.
Are you implying that Tony shows his highlights too much to everybody here? Is that like a subtle shot at his father?
No, we enjoy watching
Your
it.
boss?
And he's fearless. I love the way he approaches
This
this.
is more sucking up than I think I've ever heard in my entire life.
Look, it's,
and I'm partly to blame.
you've had horses named after you. You get excited about it. It's a
Oh, it's
really
very
neat
cool.
thing
Yeah,
to
yeah.
have.
Yeah.
And just to be able to
who'd they name
just
after
a horse
you?
you like to root for, but one named
Long
after you,
story.
it's pretty special.
That horse insufferable?
Luca on point, the favorite at 2-1, the 6.
And they're off. Good speed here from Active Duty from in between horses at the rail, though. Here comes Shaking the Bell. Shaking the Bell with the speed, and Shaking the Bell is the clear leader as they are approaching the backstretch. It's mano y mano towards the outside and Shaking the Bell, and now mano y mano will assert, and mano y mano is up by a length. Down towards the inside, Shaking the Bell. In between horses, there's Nilrook, and out wider comes Mighty Glory. Just behind them and starting to progress comes Active Duty. Then comes LC Go Lucky. Also at the rail is Prairie Dunes. In between horses, Luca on point, and the trailer, Taparino. 24 and 4 for the opening quarter mile. They're chasing mano y mano. Mano y mano is in front with Shaking the Bell, trying to make up ground towards the inside and hold that position. A tight hold here on Nilrook. These three across the racetrack and trying to keep up with them. That's Mighty Glory in fourth. Then in behind those four is Active Duty. Starts to move forward, less than a half mile to go, 49 and 3. That half mile time. At the rail, there's Prairie Dunes. They're very tightly bunched now. Taparino is making up ground towards the inside of El Sigo Lucky. Luca on point is getting the hurry up from the back. He's got to pass them all as they're approaching. A quarter mile left to go. Mano y Mano has the lead. Is only a nose in front, though, as Nilrook is now unleashed. And Nilrook at the top of the stretch is kicking on. Mano y Mano also trying to keep up, is shaking the bell. Down towards the outside there is going to be Active Duty making up some ground, and Prairie Dunes is looking for a seam too. Nilrook is the new leader. Taparino on the grandstand side. Active Duty is in pursuit. Active Duty from in between horses puts a nose in front. Active Duty, here's Taparino. 3 of them across the racetrack here in the finale. Down to 2 towards the outside. Photo! Give it to Active Duty. Taparino was in that photo, then came Nilrook and Prairie Dunes in 1 minute 41.16 seconds.
Professional maiden, no more. Active Duty, career start number 18, breaks through.
And gutted it out in a 3-horse battle down the stretch. And maybe the trainer change made a difference. Matty Oliver, nice job getting this horse done. And proves best in this race as the 3-1 co-second choice. Luke on point. He just can't run.
Just did not show much at all. It appeared to me that Nilrook hit the front and completely got lost. He was lingering on his left lead, and then when the company came from the outside, you're obviously your winner, Active Duty, and the 2-horse Taparino, he kind of reasserted himself, and I think he's a horse that would probably be better having a target in front of him because he looked like he was poised to run big, hit the front, shut down, and then he took off again when he had company. But Jonathan talked about it. Active Duty, trainer change. Matty Oliver contributed a nice ride and got it done.
4 for a moment, briefly re-rallied, but in the end not to be after getting passed in the stretch. Winds up 5-2, 4-3. So Active Duty, 3-1. Taparino, a 10-1. Winds up second, and Nilrook, Sahin Savachi has to settle for third.
And I'm Taparino after Luke on point. Did no running whatsoever.
Well, the good news with that, we say so long to Andy Serling for the weekend, so you can enjoy the rest of it on the subway ride home. And
I'll see you later. I'll see you Thursday.
Yeah.
Have a good time. You're heading down to Oaklawn, right?
Yeah, I'll be leaving for Oaklawn tomorrow. I start there on Friday, so I'll be seeing you guys, but via the cameras.
All right.
All right, so long, Andy Serling. Maggie Wolfendale going to join us up here on the set in just a little bit. Get out of the cold. Active Duty, career start number 18. Moving to the Rob Atras barn, this 6-year-old. Had to be patient with him. Finally breaks his maiden.
Spendthrift Farm, a name synonymous with greatness through much of the 1900s, suddenly found itself in a new millennium and weathering a storm. Yet, within these old walls, a legacy awaited its rebirth. In 2004, a new chapter began. A visionary with a passion for horses and a respect for history saw this farm's potential. As the first rays of morning light touched these hallowed pastures, the stroke of a pen breathed life back into Spendthrift. What followed was nothing short of a revival, a resurrection of tradition and excellence. Malibu Moon, now etched in history, returned home to usher in a new dawn for Spendthrift's once proud stallion operation. Spendthrift was not just back, it was reborn. 2013 marked a watershed moment in the rebuild of Spendthrift as the farm was again home to a Kentucky Derby sire. A rewarding first decade in Spendthrift's new story. But there was more work to be done. Beholder, a queen of the track, returned Spendthrift to prominence on the world's biggest stages and with sweet symbolism for a bloodline that was beginning to erupt.
Beholder is absolutely poetry in motion.
Her brother, Into Mischief, would return Spendthrift to prominence in the stud barn, becoming the sire of our time and cornerstone of this reborn dynasty. In 2020, Authentic delivered a Derby and a Breeders' Cup Classic win that were more than just victories. It was a statement and a crowning achievement for the farm and its visionary leader. Today, Spendthrift is home to the best stallions racing has to offer. Each represents a piece of the legacy B. Wayne Hughes built, a tribute to the past and a beacon for the future. And now, a new era dawns.
Kingsbarns looking to finish them off in the Louisiana Derby. Kingsbarns is opened up.
Kingsbarns bounding past the Twin Spires in the Foster. National Treasure putting on a show in the Preakness. It's gonna be National Treasure.
National Treasure devastating them in the Metropolitan Handicap. Dornock in an absolute thriller. It will be Dornock to win the Belmont Stakes.
And Dornock stubborn. Dornock wins the Haskell.
Three top performers who carry with them the hopes and dreams of tomorrow. Their arrival marks not just a continuation, but an evolution. Spendthrift Farm stands today as a testament to vision, perseverance, and a deep respect for tradition. Dedicated to ensuring a strong future for all breeders who are committed to the same level of excellence. The barns, once weathered, now gleam in the Kentucky sun. The Paddocks, alive with the energy of the world's finest thoroughbreds, tell the story of a farm that has been and always will be a place where champions are made and legends call home.
Back with you on our Sunday coverage here on Fox Sports 1. Thanks for spending part of your weekend with us as we get set for the 6th race and the start of the Lake Pick 5 coming up out in Hot Springs. We welcome Maggie Wolfendale to the set. Good to see you.
Good to see you, too. I'm much warmer up here, even though I'm wearing Andy's mic, and it's really uncomfortable.
I mean, to me, the set really upgraded now, and now we've got a
There's
rose
still a
between two
piece of
thorns.
him here, okay?
Well, we'll get that switched out.
That Pippin to come later on. What do you think about Corningstone and that performance in the Mistletoe?
I want to see it done on a fast track, Greg. She looked to really excel over that sloppy sealed track that she encountered last time out, and I just thought that Tax, now third, having more racing under her belt, coming back now, that also she may have moved a little bit early, but active duty, made no longer at 6 years young.
Patience pays. Don't give up. 6-year-old who was 0 for 17 gets that first win.
Perseverance.
Yeah, and went over 100,000 in earnings in the process as well, right? He had 99,000 going into this race with 4 seconds and 5/3.
And well done, Maddie Oliver.
Yes.
I know it's been a trying kind of winter for her, and she has had limited mounts, but there's something to be said about making the most of what you're getting.
We move on to race 6. So start of this Late Pick 5 at Oaklawn, 6 furlong sprint, $10,000 starter allowance. Favoritism to the 8 right now. Pressure. David Jacobson, Ricardo Santana Jr. Did you ever feel pressure riding Mig or no?
You know, most of the time I didn't feel pressure, but the one time the pressure was almost overwhelming was riding 4-star Dave to his final victory in Saratoga, because I felt like the only way he could lose is if I made a mistake.
Got it done, though, didn't you?
He made me look good.
Metallic Man went by. Here's Love to win the 3.
Am I odds? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you.
Taking over. Andy, coming off the synthetic off of a layoff.
Vale has Walter De La Cruz aboard.
Walter De La Cruz, a rider that's aggressive, should be forward, major player.
Here's Ian Glass, had won 3 of 4 before last time out.
A horse I galloped as a 2-year-old.
13-time winner. Here's Algebra at 12-1.
One of the many reasons I left school after the 8th grade was algebra.
Get nightmares about that class. Galactic Empire. We skipped over Pressure. We'll get back to that one.
Galactic Empire. I mean, he's going to need a galactic effort to win here.
Count de Monet at 7-2.
Was your morning line favorite. Turns back to 6 furlongs. Another horse that should be involved early.
Golden Luna, 15-1. We just saw go by for Todd Jordan. Here's Russian to win.
A horse that's been running at other jurisdictions. Let's see how that form relates to Oaklawn. Tough post, too. I don't like the far outside, even sprinting.
Won 3 of 4. Manny Escobar will ride. Let's bring back in JK now. 2 minutes to post here in the 6th and the start of this late pick 5.
Yeah, guys, I'm going to go towards the outside, or not all the way to the outside, with a 10, Count de Monet. So a horse that, if you look at the past performances, has been going the wrong direction as of late. However, there is some races that, if this horse can find a way to duplicate with that style, with that speed, getting back to the 6 furlongs, I think Count de Monet could be extremely tough. I mean, one of the biggest issues that I see when you're at Oaklawn is horses that are coming from all different directions. And this horse form from other places, Indiana, Colonial, Prairie Meadows. But I thought last time, although the figure wasn't great going longer, I thought this horse kind of rounded back into form. And I'm just hoping that the cut back to the 6 furlongs from the mile last time is going to hit him right between the eyes. The Monet thing threw me off a little bit.
Well done, JK. Good save as the favorite walks through the screen there. Pressure at 5-2.
Yeah, we're making the first start off of the David Jacobson claim. David's horses have been running well at Oaklawn Park. 4 wins, but 3 seconds, 6 thirds. And it must be frustrating for trainers at times. I know it would be hard for me, Maggie. You get a horse ready, and then you got to turn the keys to the car over to the jockey. So all you can do is send out a horse that's well prepared and then hope they get a good trip.
Let me tell you, there's no worse feeling than loving one and then watching it unfold in sometimes less than a minute to get the worst ride you could possibly imagine.
No, listen.
No offense.
No, and I'm a former rider, and I'm saying that I think it would be very hard. You put in all this time, effort, early mornings with a horse. You get them right where you need to be, and then you've got to trust you're going to get the trip.
And I think that's why it's so important and for jockeys to come out and work horses in the morning.
Absolutely.
It's so good for them, but then it builds a relationship with the trainer, with the staff, with the horse.
5 about to step in. Set for the start of this late pick 5 on the Sunday card. Let's go to Matt Dinnerman.
Galactic Empire. And Love to Win broke through the front of the gate. Didn't get very far, though. Love to Win being led back behind the gate. Love to Win goes in. Golden Luna to the outside post. We're ready to go. And we're off. Uneventful beginning. Golden Luna from post 11 is up on the lead. Russian to win, the gray right outside, taking the second position early. Metallic Man slipping inside to be part of the action on the lead. Vale in the fourth position on a hold right now. Ian Glass right behind him. Pressure is in the blue jacket. White cap just 3 lengths off the lead, a joint third now. Then comes on the outside. Galactic Empire is sent along already. Count de Monet has passed him. Love to Win is third last with Algebra. They're together. And Blow Torches at the back as they round the far turn. 3-way battle on the lead. Russian to Win, the gray. Between horses, Metallic Man's fighting on here, and Golden Luna between them as they round the far turn. And now Russian to Win has a clear advantage coming to the top of this stretch. Russian to Win off the turn with a 2-length edge. Metallic Man gives way on the fence, and then comes Golden Luna in the third position. Outside, Ian Glass is putting in a late run. Vale right behind him. Furlong to go. Russian to Win, and Manny Esquivel, they're clear by 5 now, hitting the 16th pole, and nobody's catching Russian to Win, a dominant winner to kick off the late pick 5 at 8-1. Russian to Win for the Armando Hernandez barn. Ian Glass was second, Vale third, and Pressure was fourth.
3 in a row and 4 out of 5 for Russian to Win now, a 9-time winner.
He just looked so comfortable, Meg. You saw Manny Esquivel cruise up around the turn, and he was just uber confident in his mount.
Yeah, coming to the 3/8 pole, he looked like the winner. Everybody around him was off the bridle a bit. Like you said, Maggie, he's cruising.
His name really fit him. He was Russian
He
to Win.
was Russian to Win. And listen, I always worry about outside posts because sometimes you just get hung out there wide to nowhere. Didn't matter, and a horse that never ran at Oaklawn before, his form certainly bore out here. And he's a win machine. 9 for 31 lifetime. He was 4 for 8 last year. He knows how to win. He's got the winning habit.
Good to see my old friend Ian Glass round out second. Kind of strung out field there, but 9-year-old, I can't believe. I mean, I was just telling you guys, I galloped him while pregnant with my second child. It feels.
Where
like
was
ages
this at?
ago, Saratoga.
Wow.
Yeah.
This horse took a ton of money to win
Did.
late. I mean, he basically got cut
down to
in half.
8-1. So Russian to Win, first start back, is a 6-year-old. Getting used to this, getting his picture taken once again. Prices to start off the late pick 5 when we return. We'll set up the 7th when we come back.
The brilliance of the legendary Arrowgate and the speed and stamina of the sire of sires, Uncle Mo. Introducing Petulante, the first son of Arrowgate to stand in New York after winning handily at first asking.
Petulante! He's got a kick here, and he's going to prove much the best.
He won or placed in all 7 of his lifetime starts, including the Grade 3 Salvatore Mile.
Petulante, Nimbus class, Petulante!
Petulante, now standing in New York. For information, visit IHDVStallions.com today.
Enhance your handicapping with AI Fast Facts, exclusively on Naira Bets. Open your Naira Bets app, click View Runner Details, and a stat-driven fact will appear for all U.S. thoroughbred racehorses. Download the Naira Bets app to start using Fast Facts today.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing, with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
The champion 2-year-old. One of 4 champion 2-year-olds in his immediate family. Essential quality at 2. Undefeated.
Essential quality, though, has opened up by 5.
Devastating. His own first 2-year-olds race in 2025. If they're anything like him and you've got a mare in foal, just imagine.
Elite Power gets up to win the sprint. Elite Power to the front. At the 16th pole, Gunite is second, but Elite Power is moving clear and going to take the rear dirt sprint by a widening margin.
5-5 all evading at 875 down or down 900 and 900,000.
Elite Power does it again in the Breeders' Cup sprint at 108.34.
The power of Juddmonte.
For a time, as many as 350 major league players converged in Hot Springs, Arkansas each spring to prepare for the upcoming season.
Ownership felt they needed to boil out the alcoholic microbes. Hot Springs was known as a place that had therapeutic waters, and they came for that reason. And then the ball players turned out to love it because they really not only did get in shape, but they had a great time.
By the 1930s, nearly half of all major league teams had, at some point, used Hot Springs as their spring training base. Plus, about half of all prominent ball players visited Hot Springs individually. Babe Ruth used to visit Hot Springs to work his way into shape, a place to prepare for spring training. In fact, the Babe even used the hot healing waters to recover from influenza. This wall at the Gangsters Museum of America in Hot Springs represents the long list of Hall of Fame baseball greats who trained here. The winter storm of 2021 is a reminder of why baseball eventually migrated away from Hot Springs. The rain proved to be a disruption, and sometimes even the cold and snow wiped out valuable practice time. Although by the 1930s most teams moved to Florida and Arizona, Hot Springs would continue to be a destination for players to work out before joining their major league squads for decades to come.
A lot of great attractions in Hot Springs, as both of you well know, and Mig's going to get reunited with here soon. Rushing to win on a nice little roll.
A really nice effort for this son of Cairo Prince, now a 9-time winner from 31 starts. A professional effort and a professional racehorse.
Yeah, and he just looked like so confident today. And you know when a horse is thriving that you're going to get these types of results. And you could just see it in his demeanor before going in the gate and the way that he ran this race. So well done to Armando Hernandez for keeping the streak going. Second off the clean.
As Mig told us, 9th career win after a 4-for-8 2024. Starts off the new year the right way. $19.20 for the winning in glass. And Vail complete that trifecta. Healthy 50-cent return. $340. As we move on to race 7, late pick 4, mile and a 16th. We'll stretch out here. $30,000 starter allowance. It is 4-year-olds and up. And the favorite inside Pike Place. Been popular in the clean box last couple of starts.
This race decimated by scratches, more scratches than horses actually running in this affair. So no surprise to see that we're going to see short prices on some of these. But like you said, Pike Place going first time out for John Ortiz, who does not have the greatest numbers first off the clean.
All right, we'll talk more about that one. Get a look at this group with the post parade when we return. We're going to take a timeout. Derby Trail. Going to pick up here again in New York in just a few days. Points given out on Saturday in Nolans. We'll talk about it when we come back. Stay with us. Back on our Sunday coverage of America's Day of the Races, it's brought to you in part by legendary Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well. Road to the Kentucky Derby. They were back at it on Saturday in New Orleans at the fairgrounds, and not the way we would have expected Disco Time to be effective in this Lecomte. Slow early, very, very wide to get this win.
Yeah, and Brad Cox and Florent Giroux saying he kind of surprised them in that he took himself so far back. Now, Mick, I don't know about you, but when we saw Innovator on the front end, I thought he was going a pretty quick clip early on, so therefore, it led to some horses being further back, but they crawled home.
Yeah, I mean, the last 16th of a mile, everybody was struggling a bit. But you got to like when a horse can overcome adversity. Disco Time, extremely wide, turning for home. Did make a long, sustained run, which is one of the attributes that a Kentucky Derby winner needs to possess, right? Ability to make two distinct runs or a long, sustained run. And I thought Built actually really elevated with his effort here because he was a horse that came off the win at Fairgrounds going wire to wire, showing some versatility.
And two, a great job by Jareth Loveberry to get him over from a far outside post to save as much ground as possible. It would ultimately not lead to a victory per se, but Built still running respectably well off of his blowout win in the Gunrunner.
Yeah, and again, showing a different dimension, and you want to see that. And listen, Jareth Loveberry had a second with 2 fills in the Kentucky Derby.
And rode him so well that day.
Tremendous ride, cut the corner. I mean, did everything right. So it's kind of nice to see him in a position to potentially have another Kentucky Derby mount.
Still relatively early on this road to the Kentucky Derby, but you look at a 78 buyer, that doesn't get you all that excited. But went incredibly wide on a wet track to get that win.
Yeah.
You give him extra credit for that and think this is a horse who could develop.
Oh, absolutely. When he turned for home, he was maybe closer to the outside rail than the inside rail. Listen, he's got run. He didn't want to, stymie his momentum, so he made a choice. That's what people have to understand. Riders are back in the pack. And you have to make an assessment from your position where you are. Do I have enough horse to come wide? Can I afford to give away that ground, or do I have to fight the inside and potentially traffic? Obviously, Florent Giroux had a lot of confidence in what was up underneath him because he angled him to the middle of the course, and he came with a relentless run.
Disco Time perfect now. 3 starts, 3 wins for trainer Brad Cox. Of course, we have the Withers on tap next, early February. Take a look at some of these upcoming preps on the road to that first Saturday in May. Southwest. Both you two, right? Going to be in Hot Springs for this one?
Yes. Looking forward to it. It's our first trip to Oaklawn together.
Yeah.
I feel like it's kind of my second home in the winter. I do spend a lot of time there, but looking forward to this Southwest. I think some real intriguing players going posters. We saw the field drawn today, Greg. We'll get into that a little bit later on, but I'm really looking forward to it and being out there with you, and you're going to set up shop out there.
Yeah, so I will be staying for the remainder of the meeting, so you guys will be seeing me, but via the cameras, and I'm looking forward to it. It'll be an adventure. I know I'll get a bit homesick, but
good hiking.
Good hiking. Hoping to.
There's a place where you can apparently go. It's a national park or whatever. You can go and try to mine your own diamonds.
Yeah,
Have you ever heard of that?
Washita National Forest. Yeah, I was actually online looking at that stuff. And
let me know if you find any.
Yo, absolutely. Maybe Charles Fipke. That's his business, right?
We really won't see you anymore then.
And Lafitte will be with us, Lafitte Pink Eye. So looking forward to it, guys.
Gaming going to be showing up in that Southwest for Bob Baffert. Patch Adams, speaking of Brad Cox, with that victory with Disco Time. 98 buyer in a win last start, just dominant to break his maiden at Churchill. We'll see what that horse can do. Very excited to see him back at Graded Stakes Company for the first time. We'll have the post parade for this 7th from Oaklawn when we return.
Club American Oaks.
4K to win the Breeders' Cup Juvenile.
Eclipse champion Blame, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. with Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at NairaBets.com.
Introducing Peace and Justice, new to New York in 2025. A proven sire with over 200 wins, 16% wins per starts, and one of only 2 New York-based stallions to have a graded stakes winner at Saratoga in 2024. Now, with 3 different racing surfaces coming to New York, and with New York breds running for equal purses as open company, Peace and Justice is the sure choice for 2025. Peace and Justice, now standing at Irish Hill and Duchess View Stallions in New York.
The Fasig-Tipton Kentucky Winter Mixed Sale. The last mixed sale before the start of the breeding season. Featuring racing broodmare prospects, yearlings, and mares in foal to their sport's top sires. Recent grads include multiple Grade 1 winner Adair Manor, graded stakes winners Fastest Flight, First Peace, Leave No Trace, Olivia Darling, and Running Bee. Kentucky Winter Mixed, February 3rd at Fasig-Tipton in Lexington, Kentucky. Where will you be?
Oaklawn's newest attraction is the Mainline Sports Bar, a family-friendly sports-themed experience.
It's top-of-the-line sports bar. We have 3 top golf swing suites that are available for rental. We have 2 axe throwing lanes as well. Everyone who's come in has just had a blast. You know, we have a lot of places will just have it painted on bullseye. Ours is from a projector, so we have different games you can play on that as well. You can play tic-tac-toe. We have a duck hunter. We have a zombie killer, and then we've got our traditional bullseye board as well. We got Torrey Pines. I'm a big fan of the golf. I've never had the opportunity to play at Pebble Beach, so here we have a simulated Pebble Beach. It's the exact course. So it's an amazing experience to be able to come in and do that here in Hot Springs. We've got a great bar. We got a great menu with some amazing wings, pizzas, burgers. It's really something for everybody. Obviously watching football on a Sunday, and then with all the things coming up, March Madness.
You can watch your favorite game or race on one of over 90 large screen TVs and wager in the all-new sportsbook area. Oaklawn's newest attraction is the Mainline Sports Bar, a family-friendly sports-themed experience.
So not only has Maggie Wolfendale been there, you did a feature on it, playing some of those games, and I saw they had a list up of the games there. One of them was Zombie Dodgeball.
Yeah, of course I wanted to play that. Right? I couldn't get the guys to bite for it. They wanted to do traditional axe throwing.
Okay, I'm in on that with you if I ever make it out to
How funny is that statement, though? They opted away from Zombie Dodgeball to a more traditional axe throwing.
Wow, yeah.
Interesting.
True.
Post parade coming up next for the 7th here at Oaklawn. Favorite is Autoglide, Greg Compton Barn, Julian Leperoux, and one who was a stakes winner just a few starts ago.
Was at Delaware. Not that familiar with the Battery Park Stakes, but I will say this about his last effort back on November 16th at Churchill. He kind of got away a bit awkwardly, kind of took some bumps, then he was reined back, he got to the rail, and then he was tugging at Julian Leperoux. And when you see that early on in a race, Meg, it's almost certifiable that they're not going to have anything left at the stretch.
Well, they're not using their energy in an efficient manner. They're using it working against the rider, and a lot of times they'll empty out. One thing that we know at Oaklawn Park, you tend to get legitimate paces. Riders aren't overrating horses, and I thought it was a very slow pace that kind of cast him into that position last time.
Right.
I think he gets a lot more comfortable today.
Yeah, you would have to think. I think he deserves to be favored in here. Like I said, with what's left in here, Meg.
Yeah, I mean, it really was decimated by scratches.
Yeah.
Well, he put together at one point over the spring and summer of last year, we're talking about the 2 still Autoglide 4 wins in a row, and just the way he does it, too, it makes it even more impressive because he needs a setup.
He does. The problem is short field, sometimes you don't get it. I think the 4 in here, Mandolin Win, could be forward. I don't know what they do with Pike Place. You know, he's a horse that sometimes is forward, sometimes isn't. And Vittorio should be at least handy.
I believe he could play out to be the main speed. Do you? I mean,
who, Vittorio?
Vittorio.
Yeah. Yes, I agree with you.
Yeah, because
he should be on time form pace figures. He is.
And it just looks like he runs his best race when he is up on the pace.
Yep, Keith Asmussen aboard for stud.
That's the 3 Vittorio. There's the one we just showed you in that Battery Park win at Delaware. 9-5 favorite, Auto Glide. Comes off the bench here, off since mid-November.
Greg, I'm going to say you might be able to play the people a little bit better. What do you think? Maybe?
It's a tough job. Honestly, it's a lot of pressure.
And then especially if it's cold out, your lips a little frozen.
I freeze to the bugle. Maybe Keith.
4 minutes from the 7th. And here's Pike Place. Again, claimed each of the last 2 tries. 9 times first or second in 21 starts.
Yeah, and he got such a setup last time off of a 5-horse pace duel.
Here's Auto Glide, and not a ton of pace. Can it work out for him?
Well, he was really hurt by the scratches, and I think it really helped the 3.
Here's Vittorio, who you guys think is going to be out in front.
I think that's Keith Asmussen's job today. Just go with this horse. He tracked the pace last time. The winner did come from last.
Mandolin Wind for Alex Hartman Barn.
That could be forward, should be involved early, especially Joey Belmere. And Prentice showed a lot of promise last year before being injured.
And the 9, we saw quickly there, 50-cent dollars.
This horse had a legit trip last time as the beaten favorite. Will go first time out for Sean Williams. And no offense to Tyler Bacon, I've seen him ride some good races, but you now get Ramon Vasquez.
I have nightmares about this horse. JK, you know there's all horses out there that have just...
that haunt you.
Just... You should have used them. You thought long and hard about it. You leave them off, and then you lose out on a $77,000 pick 5. That's this horse for me.
Dang. I wouldn't even be able to say the horse's name if that happened to me, Wolfie. But it's happened to all of us. You know, it's part of the game. But that's what makes it tricky, I think, honestly, when you get around this game so long, and yourself and Maggie and Mig, you can look at these horses. For Maggie physically, for us on paper, Richie, the same vibes he gets from a rider. You can find a way for any horse to win. That's what sometimes can make it challenging the further along you get in this game. For me, I'm going to go with a horse I think is going to get to the front, a horse that's shown some ability in a starter allowance race, the 4, Mandolin Wind. These starter allowance races, to me, sometimes can be some of the most formful races because these horses qualify for these conditions when they were, quote, one animal, and then they turn into a different animal for whatever the reasons might be. Sometimes it's trainers making changes. Sometimes it's a trainer change, a surface, a distance. I thought Mandolin Wind ran extremely well last time, has been running well, has some back numbers that make sense too, but did it last time in a starter allowance race off a little bit of a freshening, a short freshening from November until January. I love the tactical speed. Anytime I can get tactical speed on the dirt at Oaklawn Park, I'm there for it. And I thought this horse made a ton of sense. Hopefully it doesn't drift down too much more from the 3-1. I think it's a wide open spot. I'd hate this horse to go off as the favorite. But I think of the horses that are hovering around that 2-1, 3-1, 4-1, give me the 4, Mandolin Win.
All right, so 7-2, Mandolin Win. Just missed last start. Seems like, and I agree with you guys, the 3 is going to be out in front. It's probably the only horse maybe that could put a little pressure on that one early, if at all.
I just love this song that Rod Stewart does, Mandolin Win.
It's a very good song.
And Greg has no idea what we're talking about.
I'm talking about Bruce Hornsby in the range for a minute, but that's Mandolin Rain. Sorry.
Okay.
But, I do think he is the horse that could put some pressure on there. Look at Vittorio's start 2 back. He went 23. This is a 1-turn mile at Churchill, a different scenario, right? But 45-2, and he continued. He's a horse. Some horses, there's such a big misnomer about speed horses. Go to the lead and slow them down. Some horses are better going faster.
Knicks go.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And they just make everybody tired chasing them. Let a horse use their natural stride. Don't inhibit it.
And furthermore, Mandolin Win, while he was on the engine last time out, that was 1 mile and 3/16.
Yes.
over a muddy sealed racetrack. So I do think Vittorio should be the one that's on the front end today.
Can he last at this mile of 16 distance? He'll try and do it for the first time in his 4th effort. Steve Asmussen, North America's winningest trainer of all time. Son Keith aboard. Steve Asmussen, 955 wins at Oaklawn alone. Let's go to Matt Dinnerman for the call.
And they're off. The quintet broke as one. Vittorio asks for speed at once, grabs the lead from 50-cent dollars and the gray Mandolin Win. Pike Place right behind them, and Auto Glide takes a spot at the back of the pack. He will attempt to do his best running later. 5 runners charge into the first turn run, and it's Keith Asmussen and Vittorio setting the pace here. 3/4 of a length, now a half length in front of Mandolin Wind, who's on the outside pressing in second. Pike Place running in third, 50-cent dollars parked outside of him, and a gap of 2 to Auto Glide still at the tail of the field. Not a fast pace for him to chase. 23-4 that first quarter. Vittorio a neck in front of Mandolin Wind, and then 50-cent dollars on the outside placed well third, stalking in that position while showing a little bit of rain midway down the back stretch. Pike Place alongside of him, about a neck behind, but he's right there, and a gap of 2 still, maybe even 2.5 to Auto Glide as they're halfway home. Half mile, 48-1, set by Vittorio, who approaches the 4-turn run. 3/4 of a length ahead. Now it's a half length once again. Mandolin Wind still right there, pressing going into the turn. 50-cent dollars has come under a ride now with 3 furlongs to go. Pike Place going a lot better than him, and Auto Glide is yet to pass a runner, stays on the rail to save some ground on the far turn. Around the turn, Mandolin Wind comes to collar Vittorio at the top of the stretch. He's got a head in front. Now it's a half length. Vittorio in chase mode right behind him, needs to counter, but Mandolin Wind inches away coming off the turn. Now Pike Place down the grandstand sides charging, coming towards the 16th pole now. The leader is still Mandolin Wind. Up the inside, Auto Glide's putting in a late bid there. He's trying to get to Mandolin Wind. Mandolin Wind almost there in front by a half length, and he's gonna get it. Mandolin Wind wins it. Auto Glide was second. Photo for the Shoto. Pike Place and Vittorio, 50-cent dollars. Checks in 5th.
5th win, 13 starts for Mandolin Wind. 5-year-old by Mastery with the victory. Joey Belmere rides.
Yeah, always in good position, Maggie. He was traveling well throughout. Joey Belmere did a real good job keeping him settled down, set him down. Joey Belmere showed a lot of promise last year, started his career at Oaklawn, was injured, has been out. It's good to see him get back in the winner's circle.
Yeah, at a place where he had so much success last year. And congratulations to Alex Hartman. Does anybody know if that's any relation to Chris Hartman?
That's a great question.
That's a great
Wins
question.
at a high percentage.
Guess we'll find out when we get out there. He does. That's why I thought it might be a relation. But getting away from a wet track and back to the winner's circle like he did 3 starts ago.
3rd is the question here. Looks like maybe the 3. Vittorio just up to complete the trifecta.
Yeah, and look, the 2 Auto Glide, it took him a while to get going today. He would make it somewhat close in the end, but Mandolin Wind did look like a winner throughout the stretch.
Yeah, and it was interesting. I'm watching Julien Leperoux on the 2 Auto Glide and kind of trying to get in his head as the race unfolds, and he made that assessment. I need to save all the ground, and he did, and he had a run. He got through, but Mandolin Wind was game and held him off with a good trip.
Yeah, well done, Jonathan, picking this one out.
3-1 on your winner, Mandolin Wind with the victory. Prices for you when we come back. We'll set the stage for race 8 as well, and that man will be back where he has had a lot of success in the Southwest on the road to that first Saturday in May next weekend with gaming. We'll have a preview when we come back. Back with you on our Fox Sports 1 coverage with the features still to come out in Hot Springs, Arkansas from Oaklawn. And Monday, they were expected to go. Inclement weather, though, has forced the cancellation of that card. They'll move that entire card, just shift it over to Thursday. So that's when we are back on the air next Thursday.
Yeah, you'll be holding down the fort, I think, with Andy.
I believe so.
Because we're all traveling.
Yeah.
And you get extra days to handicap the card.
Exactly. And it's been out.
Yeah, it's been out.
So no excuses.
No excuses.
Get to work, Greg.
Preview the Southwest in a moment. Let's wrap up what we just saw in the 7th with Mandolin Win. 3-1 winner here again, Alex Hartman Barn. 5th career win for this 5-year-old.
Stuck right to the early leader, Vittorio here, which I think, made this horse emboldened, was able to hold off the late challenge, Meg, from Autoglide up the rail.
Yeah, he drifted a little bit here. It kind of opened up the rail a little more. It looked like Autoglide, I got a little more room, dropped his head. But he was very resolute, Mandolin Win, and just a real nice trip and ride by Joey Belmere.
So $8 for the victory. Just missed last time out. Gets there today very, very convincingly as we move on to the 8th. Starter allowance, $50,000, 6 furlong sprint. Coming up, and a couple on the board. Mo running the 2, and the 8B stud both at 5-2.
Yeah, Mo running 2 back, went back on the dirt. Ran into a nice horse in Attaché, was just second best, and has been posting numbers that do make him a legitimate player in here.
Last year, the road to the big ones for fillies and the boys. Oaks and Derby went through Oaklawn, went through Ken McPeak as he pulled off that historic Oaks Derby double. Mystic Dan proving he loved a wet track.
He did. You could just tell the extension on his stride that he was loving every bit of this, Meg.
He really was. His stride was impeccable. He was skipping over the top of the ground. And I think this was like kind of a dress rehearsal for the movie made in the Kentucky Derby, slipping through on the inside.
And he's such a small, but a smaller, handier horse, and just has this really kind of laid-back, chill disposition that it's no surprise Brian Hernandez was able to do that with him.
Well, Ryder has to
go ahead.
No, Ryder has to have a lot of confidence in a horse to head to a gap like he headed for the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, that was a small one.
This year's lineup: Grade 3 Southwest, mile to 16th. This early on the road to the Derby, got $1 million purse. Amazing. And we talk about gaming going to break for Bob Baffert. Returning here to Oaklawn, a horse who won the first 2 starts of his career, including a Grade 1 win, ran a 95 Beyer in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, but then things did not go well in the Los Al Futurity.
No, he was disappointing there. Meg, did you ride at Los Al at all?
I never rode there.
I was going to say, because sometimes it just looks like a tricky racetrack. You often see horses and riders staying way out in the middle of it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he just didn't handle it, Greg. So we'll see how he handles Oaklawn.
I often feel like horses that race after the Breeders' Cup, it's like you go all in for the Breeders' Cup. That's the day. That's the moment. And sometimes they come out of those races just a tired horse. And I just think he threw in a subpar effort. I think you'll see a better version of him in the Southwest.
Well, Bob Baffert's had a Triple Crown champion come through Oaklawn. He's had a lot of success in this prep as well with all these victories in the Southwest. In fact, swept the 2 divisions in 2012.
Wow. It's just crazy the success that he's had there. The Triple Crown winner, American Pharaoh, obviously prepping out there as well to his Kentucky Derby win. So really, looking forward, I'm looking forward to Baffert being back involved in the Kentucky Derby because
good for the game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're missing some of those really good horses in the Run for the Roses.
Absolutely. And for the ownerships that, were supporting Bob, they were precluded from, competing. They're investing big money in the game. They're committed to it. So nice to see them have the opportunity to bring these horses back. And you want the best horses lined up for the Triple Crown.
And the best, maybe the best trainer of all time. And the record would sort of say that in terms of getting horses to win these classics, and that's Bob Baffert. You have that star power back. He's got some real rivals in here, though. Sandman for Mark Casse, Patch Adams for Brad Cox. These are 2 serious horses. American Promise ran a huge one for Dwayne Lucas last start. Let's look at Sandman, though, for Mark Casse. coming off an 89 Beyer speed figure victory at Oaklawn. That was going a mile last time out.
And I thought this was a good effort from Sandman, a horse that we got to see up in Saratoga break his maiden Mig, and he kind of lost his way in those 2 grade 3s, albeit finishing third 2 starts ago. But I thought this performance really spoke to what they'd hoped for him. They've all had high hopes for this horse. I mean, they paid $1.2 million for him.
Well, and I just think sometimes you have to stop, regroup, right? Kind of go back to basics. He went back to an allowance race. Loved the way he lengthened his stride. You could see the influence of his sire Tappet and that scope that he has. I like him coming off of that kind of confidence-building allowance win.
And considering the meet that Mark Casse has already assembled, I think that record should be noted in Sandman's chances.
Yeah, no question. Meanwhile, very quick horse on the outside, Jonathan, who is going to try and stretch out and get a mile and a 16th for Ron Moquette. What can he tell us about Speed King?
Yeah, well, if you look at Speed King, he kind of thrust himself into the party here with he started off with that sprint win, then shows up at the Springboard Mile, runs well enough in there. But I think what kind of helped Speed King is what Cole Battle did. Cole Battle coming back and running well in a stake at Oaklawn makes the connections feel a little bit better about a second place finish like this. It's a little bit of that strength of schedule you see so much when you're talking about, Selection Sunday in college basketball or the college football playoff in college football. It matters who you're playing and it matters who you're facing. And Speed King is one of those horses where, although he has never won going 2 turns, he has an effort against a horse who has run well in a stake going 2 turns, and it gives the connections a little bit more confidence taking a chance in a spot like this. Now, I got to tell you, the waters, some might say, are going to be a little bit deeper this time around with horses like Patch Adams and Gaming than they were at Remington. But, hey, it's this time of the year where you try to find out what you have, and why not give it a shot?
Cole Battle is a really neat story for Lonnie Briley. It's a trainer that is not known on the national scene, has not had a ton of big-name horses, and now he's got a legitimate horse.
Yeah, Cole Battle, I'm hoping may come back in the Rebel as we will see him, but that was such a good performance. And maybe that performance will be, flattered by Speed King coming back and running well in this Southwest. But I do feel like some of these, recent maiden breakers, such as Patch Adams, such as American Promise, are going to have big impacts.
Well, yeah, and we're going to see what they're made of. Obviously, they're stepping up in company, but they've flashed ability. They've shown they can run. Now you find out about character. Every step, every test is a little bit tougher, and some horses are great when things come easy. You learn more about them when they got to fight for it.
You guys have been there on days like this. I got to think it's one of the best places in the country. Hot Springs with a Kentucky Derby prep. What's that atmosphere like?
Oh, it's great.
It's ramped up.
They've got great racing fans there. Much like Saratoga, the track revolves around racing, or the town, I should say, revolves around racing. And people come out. Their enthusiasm's there. The energy's there.
Yeah, absolutely. And the horsemen are just really into it as well. So it's a great atmosphere. I think it ramps up through the season as the weather gets a little better too. But they love the racing. And I always, feel somewhat at home when you walk into a racetrack, no matter where it is in the world, and just every person knows everything about the horses running on that day. They know why they're there. They appreciate why they're there.
Well, they're great racing fans. They truly are into it, and it's witnessed by big crowds pretty much every day, but certainly on the big weekends. And I agree with Maggie in that respect. Their spring rolls in a few weeks earlier than New York spring rolls in. So when you get to Arkansas Derby time, it's usually just spectacular weather.
Yeah.
It's a good group lining up for the Southwest. I think early on, one of the most, certainly the deepest preps we'll have seen on this road to the Derby. We got a long way to go, but it's an exciting one coming up. We'll have it live for you. Maggie, Mig will both be there with live coverage. And it's not just the Southwest. Look at all these stakes they have on that program. It's going to be a very fun Saturday afternoon. We hope you join us next Saturday for all the coverage of Southwest Saturday afternoon from Hot Springs. We're going to take a time out. We'll be back. More to come. Race 8 ahead, and we'll have the story of Willis Horton and his son continuing things on, and also Loblolly, now Shortleaf, continuing on in the game, winningest owner in the history of the sport at Oaklawn.
Union Rags, a proven sire with 6 Grade 1 winners. He has 3 Grade 1 winning juveniles, including Dancing Rags, Union Strike, and standout older horses like Express Train and Paradise Woods. His success continues with recent graded stakes winner Circle of Trust and multiple graded stakes winner and Grade 1 winner Power Squeeze. Union Rags, a proven Grade 1 sire, standing at Lane's End.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you.
Say hello to Move. It's a one-horse race, very professional and very fast. Move, rolling home by 4 in fine style.
Muth, the son of good magic, coming down the stretch in Hot Springs to win it.
There's a big, bold, beautiful world waiting to be explored by you and your friends, of course. But not just any friends, the best of friends. The kind of friends who let you do you. Because in this world, it's positive vibes only. And when you get in the zone here, you stay a while. These aren't just good times, they're the best of times. And your time is now. So come explore. Resorts World.
Well, a good horse is inspirational, and a good horse makes you want to pursue it even further, but it makes you the rest of your life, it creates a little bit of an ebullience, and you feel excited about life whenever you're winning good races with horses. And they don't come around very often.
And of course, that's Cox's Ridge and Van Landingham. That's the Belmont Paddock. And that's, I think, Tipper's Hill at the Belmont.
The family of John Ed Anthony has been associated with lumber and timber in Arkansas for over 100 years. And it's his home state that serves as the inspiration for the naming of his stable and horses, using Arkansas towns and landmarks. In the 1970s through the 1990s, Loblolly Stable campaigned some of the most famous horses in Oaklawn history, which carried Anthony's famous chocolate brown and yellow silks. Cox's Ridge became Anthony's first prominent horse in the late 1970s. The stable had 3 champions in the 80s and 90s. Temperance Hill was named champion 3-year-old male in 1980. In 1985, Van Landingham won champion older male.
He was a front-running freak. There wasn't anything to do about it. That's the way he was going to race.
And Prairie Bayou was awarded champion 3-year-old male in 1993.
He was trained by Tom Bohannon, was speaking to Tom about what a good job he had done. He looked at me and said, anybody could train this horse.
I was too young to go to the races when Cox's Ridge was racing, but was able to sneak into the track to see Temperance Hill run at Oaklawn. Temperance Hill would be my favorite just because of the races he won and the exposure he gave the stable.
Temperance Hill now takes the lead. It's Temperance Hill, Arkansas Derby winner, taking the lead, going off by 2.
He won the Belmont and then the Travers and then the Jockey Club all in 1 year.
Guys, looking over here, this is the Travers.
Oh, it's a tough race to win.
Loblolly also won the Arkansas Derby a record 3 times before being dispersed in the mid-1990s.
Climbed up, winning the Arkansas Derby by a neck. The hometown colors of Loblolly Stable of John and Anthony, the 3rd-generation lumberman from Fordyce, Arkansas, who loves winning this home state race.
Horse racing has always been a way for John and Ed to bond, but since starting Shortleaf, it's gone to a whole new level.
We talk daily about what mare to breed to what stallion or what's going on with the horses in Ocala or what stallions we should be interested in. you have to stay on top of it on a daily basis. So it's an ongoing thing that we've certainly bonded over the years.
John Ed Anthony was inducted into the Arkansas Sports Hall of Fame in 2001, and in March of 2022, Anthony became Oaklawn's all-time leading owner, recording his 270th career win.
It takes your breath away. The highs and lows in this business are peaks and valleys. It's maybe the only sport in the world where when you lose 4 out of 5, you're doing really good.
What a history for that barn. A remarkable number of wins, and the first ever win. Did not know how to find their way to the winner's circle. Certainly learned their way over the next 269 victories.
Yeah, I think they probably have a blueprint or a roadmap to that winner's circle. Obviously, in my earliest memories of at the time, Loblolly, now Shortleaf Horses, owned by John and Anthony, was horses trained by Joe Canty, an amazing horseman, and ridden by Hall of Famer Eddie Maple. And they had such great success, obviously Temperance Hill, Cox's Ridge, and so many more.
And now gets to do it with his son, who's a pedigree expert. Makes it that much more special.
Absolutely. When you get to have your family involved and they share the same passion and enthusiasm, it makes your passion and enthusiasm, I feel like, just double.
Absolutely. It's so much more fun to do it with people that you care about, and you have that relationship. And the conversations, the plotting, the planning, it really is such a big part of it.
I went up and spent a little time in their box, and I mean, they are just two masterminds sitting there in and amongst everybody else, but in their box, and I talked horses with them. It was really cool.
I'd love to hear those conversations. Yeah, Dutch Mills, they bred. There's Dutch Mills going through the screen, bred by Shortleaf Stable. Son will run happy.
Kentucky bred, though. They do have some Arkansas
He's kind of got a great mix, though, right?
Does,
he supports the Arkansas bred program, does very well with them, but obviously so many Kentucky breds and top horses over the years. We were talking Van Landingham off camera, horse that was proficient on both turf and dirt, and I think the horse that really started making people pay attention to Shug McGahee, who trained him.
Exactly, kind of kicking Shug off. That was pre-Phipps days, wasn't it?
Yes, and I think that's actually what led him to interview for the Phipps job, and obviously it worked out very well for all involved.
Yes.
Last couple of days, we talked about how dominant it was. One of those days where you had to be forward here at Aqueduct. Speed was incredibly dominant. Last couple of days, though, in Hot Springs, speed has been incredibly dominant as well.
Especially going long, it seems like. In the sprint races, sometimes I think they just go so fast, and it often leads to kind of pace collapses. But yes, I would say being forward was essential, but maybe not as much today.
I don't think it's as pronounced as yesterday.
Yeah.
Obviously, New York completely flip-flopped. We had a completely different surface today, a bit more tiring. I thought today's track at Oaklawn was a bit more fair. But listen, speed in dirt racing is always a good commodity to have because it allows you to get forward position.
And for B-Sud, that's the 8. It's a rematch with Mischievous M, who's right outside of them here. They ran 1-2 when they met on a muddy seal track here December the 14th. B-Sud was best that day.
I do think Mischievous M, though, is faster. But B-Sud kind of, sitting the right kind of trip, right off the pace setters, ranged up around the turn, and really kicked on here, and won convincingly by 2 lengths. And obviously the third place finisher, Rabbit Hound, coming back and winning too. Is there anybody in here, Meg, to soften up Mischievous M today?
Is there a potential that a big long shot like the 12, Born Flawless, could maybe chew on him a little bit early? It seems like, especially from the outside. The one thing that's in favor of B-Sud is that he's got Mischievous M right to his outside, and Mischievous M is very quick out of the gate. His first step is very big, and I think it allows him to let him go on and then sip to the clear, find his trip.
Yeah, and to the inside horse in here, Sound Doctrine, when, as you often say, the choice has already been made for you when you draw the rail with a speed horse.
Simplifies things.
Exactly.
I've got to protect my inside position and not get shuffled back. I'm going forward.
Yep.
He has to go. Mischievous M Seems like he has to go because that's the only way he can win. It's going to be a throwdown between those two, it would appear, on the front end between the 1 and 9. So it'll be interesting to watch that race within a race here. So here is the speedy one from the rail for Gennaro Garcia.
Yeah, and he steps back up to the starter allowance. He was much the best last time, taking all kinds of pressure.
Mo running. He's taken turns finishing ahead of and behind B-Sud.
Well, it just feels like that synthetic race at Turfway kind of muddies his form up. He's a major player.
Dutch Mills, won back-to-back races before that beat last start. This is the shortly stable-bred runner.
Well, he'd sure like to see things heat up on the front end. He's a deep closer.
Google joke went by.
Google joke.
And then there's B-Sud, who I think is going to sit the right kind of trip again, and a horse that's not just proficient on off tracks. He likes all surfaces.
The other primary speed, Mischievous M.
He just feels like he's going to take so much pressure today.
Cut back and distance Nullify.
Well, his 2 long races were his best, and he's just coming off of a layoff, so maybe a jumping off point.
Born Flawless for Shea Stewart.
Has speed and outside, and it just feels like he projects to get that kind of trip where he's doing all the hard work from the outside, not usually a winning formula.
He likes to be forward, too, but he doesn't appear to be near as quick as a couple of the others in here. 3 minutes away from this 8th. JK, your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I'm going to look for a horse towards the outside, the 11 Nullify, to pick up some pieces here. And people who watch the show have probably heard me say quite a bit that I have a hard time taking horses from off the pace in dirt races. My brain just doesn't see it that well. But there is certain circumstances that set up well for it. And this might sound a little tricky, but I think when there's good speed horses, a number of good speed horses that I like, quality types on the front end, I think that helps set it up for horses from off the pace, because a horse like B-Sud is not going to give a horse like the horse on the inside, Sound Doctrine, a breather. Sound Doctrine not going to give B-Sud a breather. And I think when you have talented horses that are good, that can run well, that are all speed horses, it just takes the starch out of the other ones because there's no breathers on the front end. I think the 11 on the cutback, drawn towards the outside, should be able to kind of tuck in. Hasn't run since April. Obviously, D. Wayne's been pointing towards this spot of coming back into the winter for Oaklawn. Gave the horse a break, and I just feel like Nullify towards the outside is going to come rolling down the middle of the track while the rest of them are stopping. I would say the 8 B-Sud is the speed of the speed in here, but man, it feels like he's going to have to work for it.
9-5 on B-Sud, and I knew JK was a Georgetown fan. I had a hard time looking at the 2 and not seeing Mourning as well. I'm running the 2, but it looks so much like I kept thinking Alonzo Mourning when I saw the 2. Yeah, horse 2 maybe can make an impact getting back on dirt.
Look at how much money. Now, there are a few scratches, but Nullify is taking a ton of money, Meg, to be 5-1 here.
He really is. And, I think Jonathan made a very good case for a horse turning back in distance, and there is ample pace in this race. And Wayne's having a really good meet. His go-to rider has become the apprentice Tyler Bacon.
Whom he's put on American Promise. Is that the horse in the Southwest? Brain's not working at this rate. But, he's put that horse, Tyler Bacon, on a Southwest runner. So
yeah, Bacon broke his maiden on him last start.
Yeah, American Promise, yep.
Worked for him, giving a young man a chance with that Preakness win last year. Sees the gray.
Gosh, I wish it was this version of Wayne when I was a young rider.
Set for the 8th. Good race here coming up. Matt Dinnerman, the call.
Nullify goes in, and Born Flawless to the outside post. Here's Born Flawless. We're ready to go. And they're off. Slow breaks from both Mo Running and Dutch Mills. Sound Doctrine, he hit the ground running. He's on the lead with Mischievous M. These two stride together. B-Sud right off of them, running in 3rd. Nullify is 4th, and Born Flawless 5th. Already pushed upon in that 5th spot within 5 lengths of the lead. Gap of 2.5 to Google Joke. Then Mo Running, who's second to last. Dutch Mills is the trailer as they hit the half-mile pole. Sound Doctrine on the lead a half length from Mischievous M, who moves up on his throat latch into the far turn run. And these two lock horns, they're 2 clear of B-Sud, the favorite favorites in third racing alone. A space of 2.5 or 3 to Nullify. He's pushed upon. Born Flawless finds himself on the rail. He's losing ground rapidly. Dutch Mills is on the move. Dutch Mills taking the 4th position, but has a lot of work to do. Still 7 behind. And Mo Running did absolutely no running as they come to the top of the stretch. Mischievous M has taken the lead. B-Sud on the outside is asked to run him down. Now it's these two with a furlong to go to decide it. Mischievous M finding more. B-Sud grandstand side trying to tag him late. Mischievous M, 16th left to go. He's holding on. B-Sud's going to lunge at him one last time. It's going to be tight. Mischievous M, B-Sud, Mischievous M. Mischievous M holding off B-Sud. Third home was Nullify, and then Google Joke.
Reversal of the last time they met. Mischievous M did get the lead that day. B-Sud got by him, not today.
Christian Torres finding a little bit more left in the tank today with Mischievous M. B-Sud made it close, but he was pretty game in victory.
He was. You could see when he gets this challenge from B-Sud, he sticks his neck out, drops his head. He's reaching for the wire. He wants it. A very game effort. Now, he did take some pace pressure, and it did come from the inside horse, Maggie, the horse you pointed out you thought would be sound doctrine. But I think it's such an interesting, different dynamic when you're the outside speed. You're under different kind of pressure.
So much more comfortable.
Yeah.
I mean, when you were on a speed horse and you drew the rail, where you're like, ugh, with other speed.
Well, especially if someone was leaning on you. Horses don't use themselves efficiently. They don't breathe as efficiently. When you're parked outside the other speed, even if you're head and head, you can leave a little separation and let your horse get in a good rhythm.
Yeah.
Mischievous M, just the second win of this 4-year-old's career. Son of Run Happy. Holding off, I should say, B-Sud, who got the better of him last time out. Gets a little revenge this afternoon and does so at 5-1.
Yeah, generous price as the horse that finished third there, Nullify. You know, I thought a useful return to the races, but he just feels like a horse that he's going to be better with more distance. But Mischievous M, look, if you kind of isolate his fast track races, especially the ones, you know, of latter 2024, they were pretty good. I mean, I know he has that one clunker in a stakes race, stakes race, a restricted maiden, but it looks like this horse has really turned the corner now as an early 4-year-old.
9, 8, 11, 7. We're going to take a timeout. These connections with a long shot coming up next in our feature, the Pippin, the late Willis Horton, legacy being carried on by his son and the lessons he learned from dad. We'll have that story when we come back on our FS1 coverage. Back with you on our Fox Sports 1 coverage on this Sunday afternoon with a feature stakes race to come out in Hot Springs, Arkansas. The Pippin at 1 1/16. Fillies and mares 4 and up, purse of $150,000. Good group that's going to line up, including the top 4 finishers from that Mistletoe Stakes. Get to that in a moment. Let's wrap up the 8th first. As a big performance here as Mischievous M turns the tables on B-Sud and holds that one off late.
Yeah, and Mischievous M taking the pressure from the inside was resolute and getting the victory today. Back on a fast track, finding it to his liking, much like he did 2 back on breaking his maiden.
Yeah, and just another top-class ride by Christian Torres. You come out subtly, meet the challenge, let your horse feel that other horse's presence, and dig in. That's race riding. Race riding's an art. It's not dramatic, it's not big moves, it's subtle moves.
Absolutely.
$13 for that victory. 9, 8, 11. Here we go, the main event on this Sunday card. The Pippin. Fillies mares again 4 and up, and even money Corningstone, who was the best of that bunch of those 4 returnees from the Mistletoe, dominated that group on that muddy sealed track on December the 14th. Can she do it again on a fast track? Public right now believes yes, she can. We're going to see a long shot as well with Tapit Janali in action in this race. Campaigned by the group we'll tell you about right now. Arkansas Racing lost a legend when Willis Horton passed away late at the end of 2022. He campaigned champions like Will Take Charge Brandy, and had a shocking upset win in the Kentucky Oaks. Now his son, taking lesson learned from his father, is carrying on the torch.
Well, at an early age, he was, a cowboy, and I think that started the love of horses for him and my mother and dad and one of his brothers. One year didn't miss a race. They went every day, got up early and took care of their chores and made it down there for the first race and then come back home. That's the thing about horse racing. I mean, it gets in your blood, and it got in his, and he's been, just passionate about it his whole life. It was a long time later before they got a horse in the stakes.
Lemons Forever winning Kentucky Oaks 132.
Lemons Forever won, I think it was like 40-1. I guess anybody would think they made it if you won the Kentucky Oaks. So he started getting a little bit better horses, which I can't ever remember missing a sale. He would get the books, I don't know, probably a month before the sale, and then we'd go to the sale in Keeneland, in which he'd have all these pages turned down. I mean, it'd just be, and man, we'd spend so much time, and it's always hot. 2012, got Will Take Charge.
Will Take Charge running a giant one on the outside. Lucas 1-2. Will Take Charge gets up.
It just took him a while to grow up until he got it all put together.
Will Take Charge is surging, and it's a photo finish. It's too close to call.
And the winner is Will Take Charge.
He put on a speech at the Eclipse Award that, just his joy caused him to nearly dance across the stage.
They say that a poor old country hick from the hillbillies of Arkansas can never accomplish anything. But ladies and gentlemen, we accomplished something. And we are very, very proud.
There's not many times that, you can see somebody's dream come true. Somebody has a dream and then watch it come true. His health started failing him. Knew something was gonna have to change, and it's probably 5 years ago. Told me, he said, got a sale in Florida. I said, I think you need to go. And he said, I can't go. We was looking for a 2-turn horse, and this here was a 2-turn horse, and just checked all the boxes.
Look at Last Samurai sprint clear in the Oaklawn handicap. Last Samurai is first.
He always wanted to pass it down to me. He knew that I could do it. You got to have a lot of luck, and And thank God, you know, we've had some luck and we've been very fortunate, and I just hope the dream, you know, can carry on and I can do my father proud.
Well, some incredible horses the Hortons have had. Will Take Charge, 3-year-old champion, Travers winner. Had I believe five stakes wins as well, the 2021 Oaklawn meet. But you win a race like the Kentucky Oaks, I believe the biggest upset in the history of that race as well. That's major.
Yeah, Lemons Forever, Mark Guidry aboard for Dallas Stewart. And I love that feature because I love when you feel someone's emotions. You know, Kevin speaking about his father and just how much that meant to him. And I love the fact that he's going to continue on that family tradition of racing. You know, unfortunately, there's so many racing dynasties that, you know, the younger generation their interest starts to wane. I love the fact that he's still committed to the game.
And he is out there at Oaklawn nearly every single day, and such a nice guy. I'm sure you will get to meet him. He'll walk right up to you and say hello and talk horses with you, which I'm sure you'll appreciate.
Absolutely.
Again, we'll have Tapit Ginelli coming up in the feature next. Had a nice win earlier in the meet. In the tinsel was Seize the Night.
Well, one thing, I think this horse's chance is elevated because the feature angle. Every time we run a feature, the horses seem to run very well.
I know. And, you know, Eddie Milligan had been a guy who was breaking all their babies. And I think Kevin, you know, kind of persuaded him to get back into the training game. And, yeah, they'll send out Tapit Ginelli. I don't necessarily know how she turns the tables on Corningstone or Text today.
Yeah.
But
if she does, the feature angle becomes even more legendary.
It is nearly foolproof.
26-1 right now on this Willis Horton Racing long shot filly. See if she can spring the big upset. Of course, they know upsets, having Lemons Forever on the resume. We'll be back post-break from the Pippin. When we return, they all got to beat Corningstone, the 6-5 favorite.
Cyberknife was a very talented horse from day one. A very gifted, fast horse, a lot of speed, able to carry it around 2 turns. Looks a tremendous amount like Gunrunner, same ability and talent, beautiful physical, outworked every horse on the board. Holds the track record in the Haskell. He won it in impressive fashion, beating a very good group of horses.
And Cyberknife has won the TVG.com Haskell over Tama. Jack Christopher finished third.
The Arkansas Derby was one of his best. Showed how much talent he really does have and stamped himself as one of the best 3-year-olds in the country.
His name is Cyberknife!
Cyberknife ranks up there as one of the most talented horses I've ever had in training. Multiple Grade 1 winner, brought it every time you let him over there. Excited about him passing on his durability, his soundness, and his talent. And if he does, he could definitely be a breed-shaping stallion.
What's at stake? $1 million purse. Oaklawn Stakes races are where horses step out of the shadows and into the spotlight, and where Triple Crown dreams begin. The Southwest Stakes is coming. It's the race where the legend of Mystic Dan began.
Mystic Dan is turning it on!
And it's back and bigger than ever. Big crowds, big names, and a big old payday.
Mystic Dan, a dominant win!
This is your Oaklawn.
Down, to get in, 350. Here we go. 3 here, 50, down 4, 8.5, in the back. 1,400,000 stands way in the back. Thank you.
$1,500,000 and $1,600,000. $150,000, $1,550,000 and a half. $1,500,000. Jody, thank you.
Please hold your applause.
Charlatan, ultra impressive.
It's a new day for a new king.
Emmanuel Esquivel grew up in Mexico before moving to Chicago at the age of 8. He was fortunate to be surrounded by a large family involved in horse racing.
I got a lot of family. I got family all over the place. Funny, I went to walk around with my agent, and everyone we went through, I had a family member working there, you know. And he was just laughing, making fun of me that I no more family members and actually trainers there, you know.
That includes Uncle Cipriano Contreras, who trains horses at Oaklawn. The two of them have been winning races together at Hot Springs for the past decade.
Having him on my horses, sure, yeah, you know, makes me happy. And my kids are grown, and he's here. He's like my son. And, you know, having my own kid on my horses, yeah, that makes me happy.
And the reins get shaken at her now. She responds, opens up 2.5.
I like his riding style. He don't, you know, he makes the lead sometimes, and when he makes the lead, you know, he's got a horse. He always saves a horse for the end.
With about 100 yards to go now, the leader is still oh my good to win it.
He's been my mentor, you know, from the start. He's always been there for me. He taught me how to, you know, gallop, walk horses, and everything.
And now entering the winner's circle, number 7, oh my good, trained by Cipriano Contreras. Your winning jockey is Manny Esquivel.
Esquivel continues to focus on becoming a better jockey through hard work and a little help from his family, which now includes his wife and 3 children.
So I've been really fortunate, you know, to have a good wife help me, you know, and I mean, I've been all over the place, you know, and it's hard for her and the kids.
You know, he's not cocky. A lot of people like that about him. He's a good family man, you know, I'm very proud of him.
War Campaign has to finish. Speed by his second best. And War Campaign ships into Arkansas and wins the Tinsel Stakes under Manny Esquivel.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Before this, you know, I did this for me. You know, I wanted to be a jockey, you know, but now this is how I support my family, you know. So I try my best to work every day, try to get a new barns, try to ride a good race. It's not easy. You can try, you ride 10 races, you know, you're gonna mess up some of them, you know. It's always try to ride at least a smart race, you know, and hopefully pick up more business.
Manny Esquivel having another terrific meet right now, tied for 3rd in the standings. Won the Pippin back in 2015. He'll try and do it again on Let's Duet coming up. He actually was the first apprentice to win a riding title at Arlington since 1940.
Wow.
Pretty crazy when he did that a few years back. He's only been riding in North America since 2013.
He was here for a little bit, too.
Yeah, he rode here in
Yeah.
New York for a little bit. Nice young man. You know,
Mhm.
we actually got to ride a little bit together at the very end of my career, and a kind of nice group, a good solid core of riders there. Obviously, Christian Torres getting the best of it, but a lot of good names and solid, talented riders.
So again, he'll be on the 8. Let's Duet, 10-1. And that's one coming off a win on a muddy sealed track. What do you think of Let's Duet's chances?
Nick?
She wasn't one of the ones that I was leaning on, guys, to be honest.
That's what I was going to say. She's so slow into stride, and she really needs some pace to close into. And we're not dealing with a particularly large field here, so, you know, that's not guaranteed.
She makes Zenyatta look like a speedster.
Yeah. I will say, I mean, the horse that finished behind her came back to improve her buyer with the 76, but then again, Let's Duet's going to have to get faster to take down the legs of Corningstone.
So who, and I'm having a very hard time, so I'm asking this, who do you think plays out to be the speed here?
That's a great question. I mean, they could go with Tapit Janali, and we'll see what the long shot.
That's who I would think.
Yeah. I mean, at times, Beaudraw's been forward. So I would think Tapit Janali has to go here. We'll see what Neon Beach does. She's taking a lot of money here at 4-1, moving back to the main track, and she is stakes placed on the main track at Oaklawn. So she kind of is a horse that feels like she can run the same race on either surface.
And she has flash speed at times,
times.
as well. I mean,
but far outside post.
We lost a lot of the speed with obviously Pharaoh's Heart and Tripolina, 2 horses coming out of sprints. It kind of changed the complexion of this race.
So, I mean, that kind of hurts Let's Duet's chances for
Yes.
sure without those speedsters.
There's the 6-5 favorite coming into our focus here, Corningstone. Again, big effort last time out, beating a lot of the faces she'll meet again here coming up. Taxed, Beaudraw, who finished behind her in that performance. Tapit Janali as well. It was a wet track. Could she do it on a fast track? We'll find out. good start to, even though it was mid-December, kind of this next campaign for her.
She really sprinted away from this field, too, here, Meg. And you were just mentioning to me, her rider, Julien Leperoux, spending the winter out there. Seems to be, obviously, well supported by Kenny McPeak, but riding well.
I think he's riding extremely well. You can see his confidence level is where it needs to be. And when you talk about good riders, a lot of what separates who's riding well or not is just confidence. You have to have the ability to make decisions without second-guessing yourself, because that instant that you go, maybe the moment's gone, you have to react in the moment.
And it's tough. I mean, you obviously put in a lot of work looking at how a race is going to play out, who your main competition is in a race, where you need to be in a race. But then you have to let all that go and just react instantaneously.
Yeah, you go in with an idea of a plan, right? You know how you'd like things to go, but then you have to be able to improvise on the fly, because things change. Every time the gate opens, things change.
Would you say the best at that right now is maybe Flavien Prat?
Oh, yeah.
I think that's a very fair assessment.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
He's very fluid, very liquid with situations. He can change on the dime. But that's why I think trainers would do themselves a lot of favor without giving too many instructions. Tell the rider how you'd like to see things go, particular habits of a particular horse. He may wait when they hit the front, better inside, better outside, might lug in, might lug out. And then let the rider do their job. The worst instructions I ever got, Maggie, was when someone would say, listen, I want you to lay 3 lengths off the lead. Well, 3 lengths off the lead, if they go 45 or they go 50. I mean, you can't be that specific.
Yeah, because nobody knows exactly how fast they're going to go when those gates open. So you have to be adaptable. And two, it kind of speaks to riders being able to judge pace, which I feel like, as we've often talked about, is a little bit of a lost art these days.
Yeah, and this is a general term. There's obviously notable exceptions. I think riders in general in this day and age have less a sense of pace because they don't work as many horses when they're getting ready. So not only do you have to develop a clock, then you've got to keep that clock tuned. And that's why working in the mornings is so important for so many reasons, but that's one of them. And then trainers at times want to micromanage, and they want to put headsets on riders. You're not learning and keeping a clock tuned when someone's telling you just went an 8th and 13, pick it up. You just went an 8th and 12, slow it down. Let guys feel that and go through the process, and you're going to have a better product in the afternoon.
Julien Leperoux with this mount here. Post spread coming up in a moment. Try and repeat that effort that we saw on the Mistletoe. Different type of track. Fast surface this afternoon. JK, what are your thoughts on the favorite?
Well, I like the favorite in here. As a matter of fact, I thought that Taxed would end up being favored in here. We talk about it on this show very often. This is a great time of the year to talk about it. Horses that are pointing, or they're on the 3-year-old chase, whether it be the fillies that are chasing the Kentucky Oaks or the colts that are chasing the Derby. And then subsequently, obviously, you have the other races like the Preakness and the Belmont and the Travers and the Haskell and the Alabama. What happens, I think, is a lot of times these horses, they just take a lot more money for the rest of their careers. I'm going to keep betting against Taxed. I just think that she's a horse that was there in the right time the night before the Preakness in the Black-Eyed Susan, and I think that there's opportunities every time she runs because she always takes money. The one Corningstone, just to me, makes a lot more sense on paper. I thought this horse ran extremely well last time, first time since October, and I think she'll take another step forward. And the thing about her from here as well is she's tactical enough to hold her position. Julian's known to be more of a not, I don't want to say a passive rider, but a little bit more of a patient rider. So as long as he can have enough horse underneath him to navigate what I would imagine will be him taking back from that inside and to try to make one run, as long as he's got enough horse to navigate that from the inside, which I believe Corningstone is that type of horse, I think that she'll be tough in here. And I think you're getting a little bit better of a price than you probably should because Taxed is in here at 5-2 taking money.
Yeah, let's keep in mind, too, she won that race on a different kind of track, but she's run speed figures right in line with the numbers she ran that day on a fast track.
You're exactly right. Yep. And her overall body of work is significantly better than many of these in here. I mean, 7 wins, 17 starts hitting the board out of 22. She's made $670,000.
There she is, Julien Leperoux again, back to ride, 6-5 favorite for Corningstone. trying to win back-to-back stakes here at the meet. Next door, it's Indy Label with Francisco Arrieta.
A horse that looks like just kind of figured the game out. The last 2 races were a departure from her previous form, really stepped forward. And her last race was impressive because she didn't break well and overcame, I thought, adversity.
And trying to win her 3rd in a row. Here's Bow Draw, Rocco Bowen.
Well traveled, made 2 starts in December, 1 at Oaklawn, 1 at Fairgrounds. She's still going to have to get faster.
Former Black-Eyed Susan winner, Taxed for Randy Morse.
I'd love to see her get back into her better form because I really liked her as a 3-year-old. We'll see what she can do here.
Bred and owned by Willis Horton Racing. Here's Tappaginelli.
Yeah, she could be a major pace presence here with the scratches, and that could make her dangerous.
Ken McPeak, Let's Duet, Manny Escobar.
Deep closing, a daughter of your Travers winner, Keen Ice, who vanquished American Pharaoh that day. I don't think she gets a lot of pace to help her late run, though.
Being another zip code early on. And then Neon Beach 9-2 outside. Steve Asmussen's son Eric rides.
Well, her starts at Oaklawn going 2 turns on the main track, those were as an earlier 3-year-old. If there's just a little routine improvement as a 4-year-old on this surface, it puts her right in the mix. The public, early on seemed to think so. At one point, she was 3-1, Greg.
She's interesting, and she could be forward.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she has flashed good speed. I mean, you go back to the 7 furlong race at the Dogwood. I mean, she was in front 45 flat and against a good group. My Main Squeeze, who just terrific New York bred for the Butlers, Buck Butler homebred.
Yeah, and no, I think we'll see what Eric Asmussen decides to do from that outside post position. Obviously, he won on her last time, and you would think he probably knows her quite well from getting on her in the morning.
Yeah, I know Keith and Eric are, in their dad's barn, working the horses. Talk about being an integral part of the operation. But, trainers appreciate riders working in the mornings.
Absolutely.
Horse trainers work so hard. I'm sure there have to be some feelings when a rider doesn't work hard, that just shows up, rides the horse, gets the picture taken, gets the money. Like, wait, I spent 6 months with this horse. This guy spent 6 minutes with him, right?
Yes, 100%. And you like to, sometimes the opposite is true. When a rider that's maybe not as fancied, a trainer has them coming in to work these horses week after week, and then owner goes, no, I want the leading rider who's never sat on the horse before. And then as a trainer, you feel terrible.
Yeah, and listen, a lot of times that's out of the trainer's hand.
Yeah.
And you have a boss as well as a trainer, right? There is a pecking order, if you will. One thing about Alan Jerkins, he believed in giving riders chances that he thought got along well with horses. Some very high-profile horses were ridden by less than high-profile riders.
6-5 favorite remains Corningstone here. Looking to go back-to-back in stakes to kick off this year's meet in Hot Springs with that victory in the Mistletoe. Can she back it up here? Tripwise in here, having been dealt the inside post. What does Julian Leproux have to watch out for?
Well, Jonathan just said something, and as much as I agree with Jonathan about so many things, I hope he doesn't take back, because a perfect way to get shuffled out of a race is take back into that first turn. Break, put your hands down, let your horse get in their own rhythm, and let the speeds use themselves to go on. That creates good trips. When you come out taking back, horses drop over and they pull up in your face, and now you're in trouble. Now you're running up on heels and you're fighting with your horse. They're not using their energy in an efficient manner.
Even money. Is this getting a little overblown here?
No.
Deserves to be that short.
I think does deserve to be that short, Meg. Do I think there's a potential for her to be vulnerable? Yeah, because I think having a fast racetrack could bring these horses together. Like you said, she's run comparable races on no matter what the surface is. She's just good. But sometimes you deal with horses that don't necessarily like those wet tracks, that now back on a fast one, it puts them a little bit in closer range to a horse with talent like Corningstone.
Neon Beach could be dangerous here from the outside.
Greg really likes Neon Beach.
If she clears, now guys, it looks like they're changing numbers here. Was there a late scratch?
6 is out. That was already out.
Oh,
the
maybe
number,
they just
just adjusting a number. I think they may have left it up.
Yeah, because the 6 was a little bit on the later side. Maybe they just,
was it?
Maybe they didn't get the memo.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
In a situation like this, if I'm on the outside with the Asmussen run in Neon Beach, I'm going to try to control this race. I'm going to bounce out, put her on the lead, hope that they don't take me, serious or they take me a bit lightly, and that's how you steal races.
It'd be tough to outkick Corningstone, isn't it, if you're in a
Well,
similar
you got to create
position?
separation at some point.
See what happens here. Corningstone, even money favorite, looking to go back-to-back off that mistletoe victory for Ken McPeak with Julian Leperoux. Feature on this Sunday card, the Pippin. Let's go to Matt Dinnerman for the call.
Post to round out the field. We're ready to go in the Pippin Stakes. And they're off. Bad stumble at the break from Neon Beach, but recovers pretty quickly. Corningstone from the inside on the lead today with Taxed, who's a neck off of her. Tappaginelli, the Chestnut filly, is third, 3 deep. Indy Label stays on the inside into the first turn run. Beaudraw in the 5th spot. Neon Beach from the outside post gets to the rail, has one runner beat. That's Let's Duet, who takes her customary spot at the back of the pack. Around the clubhouse turn. Kenny McPeak's 1-2 here, and his lower price in this field of 7. Corningstone leads the way approaching the backstretch, a half length in front of the gray mare Taxed. Then that pair inside Indy Label on a snug hold now. She's racing inside of Tappaginelli. Beaudraw 5th, Neon Beach 6th to the inside. 4 off the pace and a big space of 10 to Let's Duet, still well out of it and detached from the half-dozen fillies and mares in front of her. There's a half-mile left to go here in the Pippin Stakes. Corningstone put on the lead today by Julian Leperoux. Went 24-1 for the first quarter, the half at 48-1. So not a great deal of speed, and Corningstone opens up the lead to a length. Tax gets a breather and comes on again to turn up the pressure now. These two a neck apart. Corningstone still with a narrow edge with 5/16 to go. Indy Label in the 2-path being swarmed on both sides. Tappaginelli sent hard 3 deep. Neon Beach in the 5th position made a brief bid towards the lead, is backing away again. The others are well out of it at the top of the stretch. Corningstone cuts the corner. Taxed alongside, still battling right behind. Corningstone with the lead. Taxed is second. Corningstone opens up that lead to a length. Taxed is not going away. Indy Label trying ever so hard under the left-handed encouragement. It's Corningstone holding off Taxed. Indy Label into the 2nd position. Corningstone's got it, though. Corningstone game and wins the Pippin Stakes. Indy Label's 2nd. Taxed 3rd home. Beaudraw from well out of it at 59-1 rounds out the superfecta.
Corningstone floats up actually to 7-5 in here, and Julian Leperoux not messing around, forward with this 5-year-old mare.
She wanted to get a little rank with him, too, on the backside. And, she must be really kind of light-mouthed, as we like to say, Meg, because she carries her head so high.
Yeah, her head was up in Julian's face. He was trying to keep her slow. The pace was moderate. Taxed was putting some pressure on her. This is kind of a neat little rivalry that's developing there. Nice effort from Corningstone, a departure from her normal style. But how about Indy Label, who broke her maiden for 50 in her 7th start? Her last 3 efforts are huge.
They bet her to 3-1.
Yeah.
They knew with her. She made it close in the end, right?
You're always curious, what changed about her? What did she just decide she liked getting her picture taken after that one win?
After Matt Shire took over with her. Yeah, I don't know, because they've always run her long, mainly on the dirt. And sometimes horses just get better, and maybe Matt's figured out the right, thing with her.
Got the whole card, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
This one for San Diego. Corningstone with a win in the Pippin. Let's go back to the beginning here, see what happened. Ooh, the 9 went to almost her nose out of the gate.
Yeah, which put her in a not advantageous spot here. And Eric Asmussen went to the rail, Meg, slow pace, drew her into the race, and then she just got tired.
But I like when a rider gets dealt a bad hand, and a start like that dealt you a bad hand, and say, okay, this is the hand I have to play. He didn't let her rush up. He didn't keep her wide. He said, okay, I've got to save ground and try to work out a trip because I didn't get off to the start I wanted.
1, 2, 5, 3. Corningstone, terrific beginning to this meet here in Hot Springs. Back-to-back stakes victories. There's Julian Leperoux, former Eclipse Award-winning rider, teaming up with Ken McPeak. Have another outstanding meet. We're going to take a timeout. Speaking of that barn, is their superstar filly going to be named Horse of the Year? It seems likely. Torpedo Anna, her moment, coming up next week. Stay with us. Back on our Sunday coverage here on Fox Sports 1. Ken McPeak, Julian LePeroux, Payson Stud, Corning Stone. Back-to-back stakes victories here in Hot Springs.
Really nice effort. This time went to the lead. Took no chances from that inside post, Maggie. She got a little bit keen down the back, but had plenty left to fend off Tax, and then the late run from much improved Indy Label.
Indy Label, great job by Matt Shire off the claim, with her now having a stakes placed filly that they purchased for only $30,000. But Corning Stone now 8 for 23 here, Greg, and earnings upward of $700,000.
Pretty incredible. And you love to see that versatility too, doing it different ways.
Yeah, absolutely. So you know now if she gets in a paceless race, she's not going to be compromised by tactics, and she's just in very good form. And Kenny McPeak continuing to have a real strong Oaklawn Park meet.
Race to close things out on the Sunday card at Oaklawn, 6 furlong sprint. And a Arkansas bred starter allowance, $30,000. The 3-strike ridge right now. Chris Hartman barn, Rafael Bejarano, off since July at Lone Star. Right now is the favorite at 7-2.
Torpedo Anna has been a model of consistency in 2024. After a romp in the fantasy, she gave her trainer, Kenny McPeak, his first Kentucky Oaks victory, launching her to the top of the division. The daughter of Fast Anna asserted her dominance in both the Acorn and Coaching Club American Oaks, which lined her up for an epic renewal of the Travers. A stretch drive for the ages, Anna lost nothing in defeat to Fierceness and earned a standing ovation from the 40,000 in attendance. The cotillion win was anything but easy before heading out west and dominating the Breeders' Cup Distaff to cap off an amazing year. Can Torpedo Anna become the first filly since 2010 to capture Horse of the Year honors?
Look at the incredible year that Torpedo Anna put together. Was the great story in the sport. That had a lot of great stories last year, but she rose above it all, and I think we all agree that she is going to be named Horse of the Year in just a few days.
100%. And I think because we don't often see it this day and age, consistency, we put a high value on it. And she has been consistent through this year. And, you know, sometimes it's just the product of the year that we've had. None of the handicap horses really stepped up. The 3-year-olds took turns at throwing blows at each other, and she's just been the consistent one.
Yeah, especially the older horse division. There was really nobody that ever stepped up to the fore and took control of it. And for me, you know, we bandy about that word great. Well, for me, greatness is sustained excellence over a long period of time. Her entire campaign was sustained excellence. Narrowly defeated by Fierceness, who, in my opinion, you know, obviously 3-year-old championships between him and Sierra Leone. I would lean towards him. I have no dog in the fight. But she gave him all she could handle and never, ever threw in a subpar effort.
And you mentioned on the show the other day, you caught up with Brian Hernandez right as he passed the wire, and he asked you, did I win? Did Torpedo Anna and Brian Hernandez Jr. get by Fierceness just after the wire?
Yes.
So if, I mean, it would be slam dunk. It might be.
Yeah. Sure.
Yes.
There might not be a vote for anyone else for Horse of the Year had she done that just before the wire.
Yeah, and as it was such a special moment because, like we just heard in that piece with Occasion doing the voiceover, they stood up and they applauded her. Just the appreciation that the fans felt for Torpedo Anna. And like you guys said, it was just the story of the year, the feel-good story, being named for, you know, young Anna as well, the swimmer, and what, you know, and just the accessibility that Kenny McPeak and his team provided us in the media and the fans to her.
It's a terrific ride, and even better, we're going to get to see her come back this year, maybe with a couple of starts at Oaklawn that we will have on our air. They're eyeing the Azeri, prep for the Apple Blossom, maybe a trip to Dubai for the World Cup. We will see. So that will be a lot of fun. In terms of one horse who finished in front of her and another one who finished behind her, Fierceness, Sierra Leone, battle between these two for 3-year-old male champion.
You know, whoever loses, I'm still going to be a little bit, heartbroken about, because both of these horses put on stellar performances and perhaps fierceness when, finishing behind Sierra Leone in the Classic, ran one of his best races ever, being, close to that blazing hot pace. And many times, you can make the case for fierceness that he finished ahead of him, not in the Derby, not in the Classic, and I do feel as though the people who vote are probably put more weight in those races.
Well, unfortunately, I believe that Breeders' Cup just carries more weight than it ever did when it comes to championship distinction, right? And a lot of people are completely swayed by that. Sierra Leone's a good horse. And the fact of the matter is a 3-year-old crop that I didn't really know what to make of it early in the year. It turned out to be a pretty darn good 3-year-old crop. And we're the winners that Fierceness and Sierra Leone, as well as Torpedo Anna, will be back as 4-year-olds.
Look at this resume for Fierceness, the 2-year-old champ. Travers, the prep for that, the Jim Dandy, had that just off-the-charts performance in the Florida Derby, and maybe in defeat, maybe the best race he ever ran in the Breeders' Cup Classic.
100%. Yeah.
JK, that's a pretty outstanding resume, and one that seems fairly likely may not win 3-year-old champion.
Look, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'll tell you what, if you take out a piece of paper and you do one of those charts when you're trying to decide what you want to do, like when you make those big life decisions, pros and cons, when you take a chart out and you talk about these two horses, it's so much closer than I think some people might give it credit for. Now remember, they both won 3 races. Let's start earlier in the year, right? Let's talk about the Risen Star. The Risen Star to me is very equal to what the Jim Dandy is. Fierceness won the Jim Dandy. Sierra Leone won the Risen Star. They cancel each other out. Then you go Bluegrass Florida Derby. Those two cancel each other out, both of them winning one of those. Then there's the Kentucky Derby second. There's the Breeders' Cup second for Fierceness. I mean, we're still neck and neck at this point. And I think the deciding factor comes down for me to what happened in the Travers and the Classic. Fierceness got the best of him in the Travers, Sierra Leone, but Sierra Leone got the best of him in the Classic. You have to give the Classic a little bit more of a bump than you do the Travers. It hurts my heart to say it, but even then you can go back to Richie's point that, in my opinion, Fierceness actually ran a better race in the Classic. But that's for the handicappers. I think who crosses the wire first is what matters for these trophies. For me, it's Sierra Leone.
What do you guys think?
Like I said, it's just to JK's point, you can make a case for either one of them. And so often, Meg, year after year, we see these decisions purely come down to Breeders' Cup races.
And look, there's a point, too, being made that, without question, the most consistent 3-year-old all year long was that horse right there, Sierra Leone.
Without winning. He didn't win that many.
Right, but he was the most consistent.
That's fair.
Yes.
Listen, and I think Jonathan framed it very eloquently and presented the case. Both of them are actually very deserving, whichever one gets it, right? But I'll disagree with one point. I put more weight in the Jim Dandy than I would the race at Fairgrounds.
Yeah.
That's me, but I agree with him, too, that certainly for the voters that the Breeders' Cup Classic is going to carry more weight than even a race as prestigious and rich in history as the Travers.
Mm-hmm.
Going to be fun to see what happens Thursday night. And let's not count out, too. I mean, there's some other categories that are wide open. A 2-year-old filly obviously is a lock. Unfortunately, immersive sideline right now. That man right there, one of the best to ever do it. Reigning champion trainer. That's going to be
I think he gets
a new
upset
face this year. Yeah, that's Flavian Pratt will get his first ever.
It was Flavian Gier. And listen, Irad put together another amazing year. 10 years in a row with at least 300 wins in every one of those years in that decade. That's unbelievable.
It's incredible. And we brought it up a bunch, but it took a history-making year from Pratt to unseat Irad Ortiz Jr.
Yep.
That's how good, again, a year he had. Both those guys, just incredible. Finale on this Sunday card from Hot Springs. Coming up when we return. Stay with us. 6 furlong sprint for Arkansas Breds to close things out. Next.
Monaco's Too Good for Moose, an impressive winner of the best pal. Miramondi's All Hot, but Prince of Monaco Too Good.
Prince of Monaco, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Enhance your handicapping with AI Fast Facts, exclusively on NyraBets. Open your NyraBets app, click View Runner Details, and a stat-driven fact will appear for all U.S. thoroughbred racehorses. Download the NyraBets app to start using Fast Facts today.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing, with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
These New York bred foals represent many sires: War Dancer, Salamini, Honest Mischief, Central Banker. But they all have one thing in common. Starting in 2026, they'll be running for the same purse money as Open Company 2-year-olds at Nyra tracks. That's nearly 20% more than they run for now. Learn more about it at nybreds.com.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
We're in foaling season. Our foaling season starts January. Our first baby was born in January, and we'll have babies clear up until the end of May. So yeah, we are in full swing, starting to get mares back to the breeding shed and start that process back. We foal about 50 mares around here a year, and that's plenty for our little operation because, you know, originally I wasn't really going to get into that, but it's definitely been something that's taken off with the way the program here at Oaklawn's working. It's gotten to be, these Archie breds are starting to be quite a staple here. How our program here works, they foal here, they breed back to one of our stallions that stands in this state. All of our stalls are equipped with cameras, so we will have somebody eyes on all the time. So we want everything to be as natural as possible. You know, we try to assist in any way that we can so that everything goes smooth. It's quite an experience whenever you are involved in the foaling. I mean, to be able to bring in, you know, see the very first day, the very first seconds of these foals' life and the interaction between the mare and the baby, it really does, it's very uplifting and it's very rewarding and reminds you of why you got into this business. And just to be able to watch that process and then be able to raise them and then get to see them at the racetrack, and you know, that first time they get to come into the paddock for their very first race, and it's like a full circle moment. It's very, very rewarding. We've had a great meet this year, and we've probably had 7 or 8 winners this year of our own. And I've had several client horses that were born here, and we all feel like they're just as much ours as it is theirs. The quality of your Arkansas bred horses have really started to change. You're starting to see people not just bring in an average mare, they're wanting to bring their good mares down here to breed and foal and raise and race and get involved in our program, which it's only going to help us and it's only going to help it get better. You know, we've been in it long enough now, like, you're taking the time to study your mare and your stallion, and what do you think they would look like? What would that baby look like if you put that stallion and that mare together? What kind of runner do you think you'll get? So it's being able to see that and then bring it to life and then be able to be in the winner's circle and see how rewarding that was is definitely the reason I'll keep doing it till as long as I can.
They run these Arkansas breds for a lot of money in many of these races at this meet, so it is a lucrative program.
Absolutely a lucrative program, and interesting, Cedar Run Farm. They've got the one horse here, Hess, is a Cedar Run Farm bred horse, even though they're not the owners anymore. So, you know, kind of in line with what we're saying about the features thing, right?
Yeah.
Moonshine Mullen, the sire, kind of their standout performer.
Exactly. I was trying to think of Moonshine Mullen. Where did he run? I guess he ran in Arkansas as well. I was trying to think about him as a sire. But yeah, these Arkansas breds, and they don't mind giving these horses the summer off just to bring them back here in. Oh, Mick just showing me. Tell him what you showed me.
No, he was actually, in reality, Moonshine Mullen was a Kentucky bred who earned over $1 million, a 9-time winner.
He's not the horse I was originally thinking.
Yeah,
of.
and he found a stud career there in Arkansas. By Albert the Great, a really nice horse that Nick Zito trained.
But trained by Randy Morris later on in his career. Randy Morris trains Hess.
I like all the connections.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the favorite in this spot, that's Strike Ridge right now for Chris Hartman. Off since July and last seen sprinting on the grass at Lone Star.
Which he didn't particularly like. But he's back with Chris Hartman now and didn't run badly early on in 2024 in these Arkansas bred races. Does bring, you would think, some pace to the table.
Absolutely, particularly with that eye-opening 46-3 workout right on top, for his last work before the race. It was 3 weeks ago, but that speaks to really sharpening a horse up, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, even the minute coming back into this race on January 18th, looks as though he's working well for this return to the races.
Being fresh, should be quick. Yeah, the bullet drill. Last really 4 of them blazing in the morning. Here is Hess, the Cedar Run Farm bred runner, with Keith Asmussen.
Yeah, and second off of the layoff, as I was saying, it feels like, people don't mind because they run for so much money to give them the summer off and bring them back for this meet.
Big long shot next store with Walter De La Cruz. Here's Street Commander.
Yeah, a lot of chances and just feels like we'd have to find a race a little better than we've seen.
Strike Ridge, only win, came on a sloppy sealed track.
Yeah, we'll see how ready he is and if he likes a fast one.
Skyped went by off since May of 23.
A very, very long layoff, but you get Hall of Famer Calvin Burrell.
Wow.
Shea Whiz, we saw. Rocket Sanders went by also. Don Von Hemel, and here's Money Strike.
Money Strike, 1 for 20, but does have races to make him a player.
Second back off the bench for the 8 here.
Yeah, and maybe that race will make this horse step forward. It's going to have to, though, find a little bit faster race.
Another Moonshine Mullen, the 9.
He looks slow. Native Moonshine.
Wicked Prince at 19-1, and then Classic Cinema on the outside comes off a win, gate to wire.
Yeah, Christian Torres meets leading rider, looking to get this one quickly out of the gate. Came back off the layoff and was a winner, albeit for the maiden 20 for Archie Breds.
So 2 minutes to post. Race that's going to close out the week's action here in Hot Springs, and obviously there's some big concerns with the favorite right now with that long layoff.
But like we were saying, it feels like if you're going to have one ready, that work tab says he's ready.
2-1 right now. Long time away, JK. Strike Ridge, or are you going elsewhere?
Yeah, I'm going to go towards the outside with Classic Cinema, a horse that has some tactical speed. You look at the last race, I thought showed some really nice pace figures, but that wasn't just the last race. I think if you look through all the races, there is some speed from this horse from the outside to be able to work out a trip. And I like the fact that they're not going to have a lot of pressure out there either. It could work out basically almost the same trip that they had last time, winning on December 7th, that kind of outside stalking trip. But when you have speed drawn outside, you have options. You can look to your inside, see what everyone else is doing down there, and then make the best decision according. And I think that Classic Cinema is drawn perfectly to take advantage of that. I will say this, though. Underneath, I thought the 6, Rocket Sanders, another one who hasn't been seen since last May. But as an Arkansas bred, you'll see that from time to time where you have a horse that'll wait basically until the next year because the money is so good, the opportunity is so good to be able to compete against horses that are basically from only restricted to Arkansas. And I think that Rocket Sanders underneath makes sense too. So 11 for me, and I'll use the 6 underneath in the exactas and tries.
All right, JK, thanks. See how this plays out in this finale. As for Classic Cinema to the outside, state-bred maiden 20 race. How is that kind of a jump up to this level here against state-bred runners?
It feels like a jump up,
It does.
doesn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
when you win a maiden 20, you see it here with the New York breds, right? If they win maybe for 25, their next step is not true for 16. So this feels like a much tougher class test. And I get JK with Rocket Sanders, but his best races have A, come on wet tracks, and B, he broke his maiden going longer, and now coming back off a layoff. We'll see what he does. Probably put him right in the winner's circle.
I'm sticking with Hess, guys.
I like Hess too. I agree.
5-1, I think the last we checked. We'll see how this plays out. Nightcap, Oaklawn. Let's go to Matt Dinnerman.
To the outside, post-Classic Cinema. Waiting for Classic Cinema to take his spot in the gate. Live racing resumes Thursday. We'll see you then. But for now, enjoy this nightcap. We're ready to go. Classic Cinema throwing his head around now. Strike Ridge backs away. They're going to reload him. Strike Ridge. He's back in. And they're off in the nightcap. Hess was a little bit slow away. Classic Cinema up on the pace per usual. Strike Ridge quarter-horsed out of there by Rafael Bejarano. He grabs the lead from Classic Cinema. Skyped runs in the third position, and then Rocket Sanders fourth. 5 lengths off the pace. They are strung out in the early stages. Wicked Prince is next, right ahead of Money Strike, and then comes Native Moonshine, the long shot under pressure. He's at least 10 lengths off the tearaway leader Strike Ridge, who sails into the far turn clearly ahead. Dalton's Retro, fourth last. Street Commander, third last. Hess being sent along at the back, and Shea Wiz has dropped to the rear as they round the far turn. Out on the lead, Strike Ridge a half length in front. Classic Cinema getting closer in the second position. In third is Skype, 2.5 lengths off the pace. Looks like Dalton's Retro's making a move on the outside, commencing a bit. He's passing runners, but has 5 lengths to gain at the top of the lane. Strike Ridge keeps going. Classic Cinema leg weary. Here comes Dalton's Retro down the grandstand side, and he is moving, charging fast after Strike Ridge. Strike Ridge trying to find more. Dalton's Retro moves up ominously on the outside, and Dalton's Retro going to the lead. Dalton's Retro 10-1 for Louis Q in the nightcap. Strike Ridge second, Classic Cinema third.
Second off the bench, Dalton's Rutro getting by the speedster who was ready to go, just comes up a little bit short late.
You could see him in the 3/8 pole. He was picking up horses one by one, got him to the winner's circle.
We are back with you on Thursday. We'll see you then at 3 Eastern time. Road to Kentucky Oaks. We saw it Saturday in the Busanda, running away on that speed-favoring track. Went gate to wire for trainer Wesley Ward, and it was Corning Stone. In the Sunday feature from Hot Springs in the Pippin, back-to-back stakes victories to start off this Oaklawn meet.